Because Phil's gone.
Oh, thanks. That's it. Blame me.
That's it. You're...
I'll just leave. I know my place. I'll just stay in the corner.
It's ruining my viewing experience.
Right, okay, so Mouldy Show starting.
Now.
Hello and welcome back to the PM Flory Models Telford Weekend Extravaganza. I haven't got it in front of me. Normally I read it off the screen where it is. It's not on there today. Where is it? Hold on. I'm lost. There it is. Special live weekend event. That's the word. Good afternoon. Hope you're all doing very well. Everything looks good. Just making sure we are streaming all okay and everyone can hear us. Looks like we are all good. Hello, gang. Welcome back, everybody. We all trust you all had a very nice luncheon. To be honest, we were just reading what you lot were all eating. So, very nice. So we'll just go the whip round. So, Andy, what did you have for lunch?
I had a...
You've gone quiet again.
Have I?
Talking to the mic.
Hello, is that better?
That's better.
Yeah. Oh, ASMR now.
I had a real Ginster's Cornish pasty.
A real Ginster's Cornish pasty.
Cornish pasty.
Oh, did you hear that?
Ginksters, you mean a Ginksters, and it's not a real pasty. They make them out of zebras and unicorns or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
It says on the packet it's real.
It is made in Cornwall, because funny enough, I go next door to it every single Monday.
Right.
But, yeah. Trust me, if you were Cornish, you would not say a Cornish Ginksters pasty is Cornish, even though it's made in Cornwall by Cornwall people. Don't believe it, kids.
Ginsters aren't pasties, are they?
No, that's what they say. They're just made up of old things. So, yes. Anyway, so, John, what did you have?
I had a packet of crisps, some sandwiches,
What type?
some sort of meat and some lettuce.
What, is it on sourdough?
No, it was tiger loaf, actually.
Oh, very nice.
Oh.
Bosh.
Not real tigers.
Okay,
Yeah.
no real tigers harmed. Nathan?
I had cheese on toast.
Very good. Meal
I
of
know.
champions. And
Yeah.
Mr. Matt?
I had a cheese and barbecue sandwich with a homemade sausage roll.
Very nice indeed.
And can I just update the chip shop?
Yes, go on the chip scenario.
We're having it for tea. I've got fish chips and mushy peas coming for tea later, so I'm looking forward to that.
There you go. Very nice indeed. I'm having shepherd's pie for dinner, apparently, because that way I've got some for tomorrow as well. So anyway, there you go. That's what we've all been eating and doing. I must admit, you'd be pleased to know the roof is finished. It's not totally pleased to know because he's only done half of it. But apparently he's got to be somewhere else now. But we've got half the roof is fixed. Apparently it won't leak anymore. And he's going to come back on Tuesday to finish it off. But at least that means we'll have no banging and tapping all the way through the show. So in some ways, that's quite good for that one. Hello to everybody who's in YouTube chat. We've got Robbie down in there and Lawrence is in there already. And in the Flory family chat as well. There we go. We've got Gary and David and everything down in there. Very nice indeed. We trust you're all doing very, very well. Right, okay, so the plan for this afternoon is we're going to be talking all things chipping. Now, originally this was with Andy, although it might still be with Andy, but there's a story to this. It's like a soap opera. Andy's stuff has gone mouldy, which who knew? Go on, Andy, hold it up. Show him your mouldiness.
That's one of them. It's gone.
Look, it's gone proper mouldy. How does that even happen?
Cross-contamination, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you reckon? What did you have
Well,
on your brush
well,
to do
look,
that?
Here's mine, look, and mine's
Hold on. Slow down. Go on.
Look,
That's
here's
what it
mine.
should look like.
And
In fact,
mine,
well, that's your worn one, isn't it?
Heavy
No, it's
chip.
for heavy.
Yeah.
That's my heavy.
Hold on. I'm having to cameraman here.
Mine's like,
Yours looks like a sample.
yeah, it's
I
got
say
it's gone
sample,
like,
not one of mine
it's like
clearly,
jelly.
but
gone like jelly. So
Andy took that to the sperm bank. They refused him.
And then there's my Warn Effect one, which is
Very nice. So anyway, the plan of action is chipping. So between both of them, we're going to do chipping with you in one way because Matt's quickly primed up some stuff bits and pieces. So we'll be talking about that shortly. I'm going to do a thing about buffables. So I'm going to show you about doing it on an engine, as in the black way that I do it as well as on something bigger. And to be honest, I couldn't find anything. So I've quickly primed up a little A-wing, and I thought we'd do some buffly things with that as well. So that might be quite interesting. Sort of thing to what Andy was showing at the back end of his, but I'll do it sort of different, bigger scale. Also, I've got a couple of different techniques to doing it as well with that one. And then Matt will be back with you again for doing burnishing. So what we're talking about is acid etching tracks, making it going black and horrible.
Pretty much, which is there we go. Some of that.
So we'll be using some of that for basically burnishing tracks, which is a way of like instantly weathering rusting effect into tracks and things like that. So that's the plan with that one as we make our way through. And yes, I am now sponsored by Nescav. I think it came with an Easter egg one year.
Along with
it was either that or a giant thing of coffee. You know, you get.
I'm about to say, why would a coffee mug come with an Easter egg?
Why not?
Got to be with a.
The only thing that's wrong with this, can you see it? It's square. So you're never sure if you should go in a corner or on the flat. Anyway, that's enough of my problems. So anyway, that's the thing, what we're going to do with you this afternoon. So as always, you can see up on the screen, it's all over the internet and everything, the time slots we're doing. So really, we're going to go from today, we'll be now from 2 till 5. And then again, we'll be with you from 7:30 till 9-ish for our quiz. Although we might string Matt out, because the longer we go, the more he won't have his chips.
Oh, I will.
Have you booked it for 5 o'clock, have you?
If you run over past quarter, I'll be logging off and I'll be gone. My chips will be ready.
Having a discussion in chat about Cornish pasties and meat pies.
Oh, big difference.
Oh God,
not
don't start on this one. The Cornish Brigade.
They're not the same.
That's it. My other half's Cornish. Literally, she's got pasty crimps all down her sides.
The original Cornish pasty, they used to put the meat in one side, didn't they? And then
dessert in the other.
Dessert in the other. So when the Cornish tin miners used to go down the mines, they'd have the meal and dessert all in one.
And they still do it like that. You can have a Christmas dinner at one end and your pie down the other. Christmas pudding down the other. I've had that before.
Yeah, no thanks.
But trust me, don't get started with them. If you aggravate the Cornish, they're a nightmare. Bad enough living with one. Anyway, there's another thing just to discuss quickly. Apparently we had a few little pricing problems with the shipping, didn't we, Matt? But it's been fixed.
Yeah, we fixed it. I do apologise. Yes, the bottom few items, I think, from the Cromwell did actually have the wrong weight in it, so it's probably the wrong shipping. So if anybody has bought them, I will sort that if it comes to, obviously, you need a refund, which we'll do anyway. But everything now has been adjusted to the proper weights to go with the size of the kit.
Yes. So apologies for that. It's just that we have the wrong weights down in the system, and it screws up with the postage and everything else. So.
It does, yeah. So,
and just pointing out, we're almost sold out of the giant packs of sanders already. So once they got, there's 13 left on the site as we speak, or was the last time I refreshed. Let me just refresh again. No, it's still 13. So, but when they're gone, they are gone, guys, on that price. Okay. Just saying on that one. Anyway, so
hold on. Can I just say thank you to everybody so far who's purchased from the PM side of things, and obviously from Phil as well.
Yes.
Overwhelming, to be honest. It's been really busy and really good. So yeah, if you have bought anything from us, just want to say thank you for supporting us. It's much appreciated.
It is, yes, absolutely. It, as I say, it's really very kind of you all and everything else like that. And,
yeah.
So, it brings a tear to your eye. Be welling up. Anyway, this is it. So anyway, they're all talking about pasties now. That's it. Sorted. Who wants to start then on Chipping Land?
Well, we'll let Andy go. I can stick my overhead on, and I'll do a bit as well at the same time. So just right before we start, Andy, what are you actually going to be using for chipping? Because I'm going to be using Tamiya with lacquer thinners.
Well, I've already painted mine.
With what?
It was going to work or not. Right. So basically, let me just see as we're on me now. Let me just change camera.
I'll stick my overhead on.
1 second. We'll go on to that.
Actually, stop.
Right. So on this side,
oh God,
that is Vallejo.
Okay, that changed colour.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been doing well before we came on. That was that Vallejo Cavalry Brown, and I thinned that with Vallejo airbrush thinner.
All right.
So
yeah.
it's pure acrylic.
Yep.
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 On the other side, we have got Tamiya XF4. So basically, that's to represent red oxide, which you would see underneath the primer for, say, a German armour.
Yeah.
That is XF4, which is a good representation for zinc chromate on US aircraft. That is Tamiya XF4, but I did that one with leveling thinners. Yeah, so we're just going to look at the difference between how one comes off and the other one comes off.
Yeah.
The only problem is, I didn't realise we were going to go on to it. I've got no water.
Right. So
just go on to Matt's second, Phil,
Yeah.
and I'll get some water.
So
Okay.
what I have just done is given this resin lovely door a coat of heavy chipping fluid, aka heavy chipping fluid. So what I'll have to do is just let that dry, and then what I am going to do is give it a coat of XF11 thin with lacquer paint, and then we'll do the chipping with that. So that's the plan. So we'll let mine dry off before I can go to the next stage.
Cool.
And answer some questions or whatever we're going to do in between.
Yeah,
Well,
no problem
Oh,
at all.
Has he got his water?
You got
Water.
water.
All right, okay.
Right, the problem I've got lots of problems, but the main problem I've got is I don't know whether the chipping fluid is going to work or not. So
That's a problem.
Here's the test. Test of the fluid.
So this one is done with heavy chipping fluid. This one's done with Worn Effects. So I've got a stubby paintbrush. This is actually an old Citadel dry brushing brush. It's very stubby and with short bristles. So I'm just going to take it and just try. Oh, let's see it coming off straight away on the. Oh, you can't see on the leading edge.
So that's the Vallejo side, yeah? With Vallejo.
Yes. Yeah.
So my experience with that is it tends to tear and not chip.
Yeah, peels. Yeah, because it's latex based. Latex based. The latex sort of like helps. It makes it sort of like chip pull away a bit. If you just have to be very, very, very careful with it.
Yeah.
And it's not been done. It's fair. If I'd left it a bit longer, it'd probably be.
Yeah.
But you can see it's sort of like chipping away on the leading edge of the wing.
Just say Matt sprayed his chipping fluid on.
Yeah, I sprayed mine.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I've sprayed my chipping fluid. It's just drying. Just for anybody who's wondering, I've just gave it the base coat was XF78 wooden deck tan. Again, just thin, missed the colour.
I've just got a small amount of paint on the water on the brush. And it just like it's bringing the. Trying to like just bring it up, slight amount, small amounts of chipping rather than large amounts. You can see it on just on the panel line there. Because it's quite fresh paint, it's a small amount of water is making it come back up.
Again, the thing is with like the Vallejo one, like I say, because it's latex based, it does tend to tear rather than chip, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it hard work to
The
try.
only other probably, sorry, Andy, the plus side probably is if you can probably leave the chipping fluid longer to let the paint go off than you can obviously with lacquer, because obviously lacquer will eat into it and just neutralise it if you left it a day probably. The advantage of using like a lacquer based paint is as soon as it's gone off you can chip it.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can see the chip sort of done on the panel lines, or you can also use cocktail stick toothpick. It's all right, just wet it a bit as well. And it's all like works just by giving it a bit of a. Too much there, to be honest with you.
can I just say about my internet? I'm actually plugged into the main router. I'm not on the Wi-Fi, so I don't know why my picture's rubbish.
Oh, it's still bad.
Well, apparently on here I'm not great, but I'm not off the. I'm not just off the Wi-Fi. I'm hardwired in. So
Oh yeah.
don't know.
It's a bit
Are you
more.
using the lappy or using your old computer?
For thinking this, I'm on the old computer. The lap is on Wi-Fi.
Oh, right.
So yeah, that's just using a cocktail stick, and so you can just chip away with it as well, because it just makes it easier for the paint to come away, because you've got a barrier between the original bottom coat and the top surface. And that's what you're basically doing when you put in the chipping effects on. So we've got heavy chippings one. I've just done this one in. That obviously gives you, it does come away a lot easier. It's like quite difficult to sort of like moderate really to how you do, because if I went all ham on it, it just.
The thing is, you can just peel it all off, isn't it? That's the trouble I always have using polyurethane-based paints like the Vallejos and that. It just wipes away.
It just comes away.
Especially if you've got like a glossy surface underneath, and it really's got nothing to bite to. It almost peels off like suntan, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to sort of like literally be very, very, very careful with it. Now switch on to the other side, which is Tamiya XF with lacquer paints, and this is going over worn effects chipping fluid. So this should give it more of a as though it's worn away rather than chipped off, to be fair. I prefer this one to the other one. It should be, obviously it's going to be harder to take off because of filthy as well. So I've got the red paint on me brush.
See, the thing is, if you're like me, especially, I prefer chipping over lacquer paint because it's really hard work.
Yes,
because I always overdo it. You know, with all my chipping, I just get too much, and too much comes away too soon. But I find with lacquer paints, it's actually really hard work to make it chip. And in my world, that's better because it gives a more subtle worn effect instead of just going straight through it.
Yeah, that's what's happening with. I mean, for me, brush is filthy. It was because I've been using it on the same brush I've been using on the red, bringing the red paint out. But this is definitely
more controllable and in scale. I think that's
It takes away small amounts rather than big chips and big tears.
Yeah.
And again, the thing is, if you leave the lacquer paint on for like a day, it really welds on, goes rock hard. It's almost impossible to do it though. So there is like a fine art of time you want to leave it on there for doing chipping. I wouldn't try and do it 2 weeks later. No. Because it'll just be welded in there.
I was going to say you might struggle 24 hours later, to be honest, to get it back off because of.
I'm marking the paint because of the paint because of the colour paint that's on the brush, because of the red. But you can see, so like it looks more worn rather than sort of like than chips.
Peeled.
So like, it does make nicer, which is again why it's called worn effects. But again, you can use a cocktail stick and chip it away if you want, like bigger chips and things. And chip it that way. But it's sort of like this. The worn effect is definitely more controllable and gives a nicer
effect to it. David says in here he's using Tamiya XF paints over the top of the chipping fluid. What's the longest you can reasonably leave it for the chipping won't work? Well, depends on hours, days, totally ignorant.
It depends on what you sort of like. Again, what you thin it with. If you thin it with X20A, it's probably you got a longer time than if you're using a lacquer thinner. But I wouldn't leave it, like we said before, I wouldn't leave it much longer than 24 hours at all. And the longer you leave it, the harder it's going to be to work.
Yeah.
And this is a softer brush in it, so like it's making it a bit.
If you're doing chipping, it's not something that you're going to do and put down and leave for a few days, is it? You're basically just going to let the paint dry and then go straight at it.
Yeah, I mean, I literally put this on just as we came on air. And fair, it could have probably done with a bit longer to set.
I was going to say, if your time is limited, like Andy's obviously doing that wing, it might be an idea to just do one panel at a time. Say do a wing, then the other wing, if you can't literally do it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's anything worse than like the chipping fluid neutralising and you can't get it off.
Yeah.
And you can't get the effect. I mean, I know I've done it on a tank before, and I painted it with lacquer thinners, to be fair, and I couldn't get it off. I was scrubbing and it just wouldn't give. So
I wouldn't normally use this brush, but I'm only using this one because it's a clean brush, whereas the other one was that mark in the paint.
again, as well, it does affect how much paint you put on.
Yeah.
You don't want to be putting thick coats on because you can't get through it. Thinner coats is better, and even if you're putting thinner coats on, chipping that and then putting another coat on top and chipping that and doing multiple.
So that's what I was going to do with this. I was going to chip it, then put a quick. I'll probably put a gloss coat on it, or a flat coat barrier between them.
Yeah.
And then put chipping fluid on again, and then do a another top coat on top of it, so you can see the chips through the chips. What is working? Say I could do with a stiffer brush than this, but it is working.
Robbie asked what we think about Ammo's washable paints.
I've never used them, to be honest with you.
No, I've never used them.
On the emulsion.
But I don't know. I think, if you're doing a winter whitewash, I think what they're designed for is obviously like winter whitewash on tanks or planes, and then obviously you put them on and you can just then wash, reactivate them and bring them off. I've never tried them. I know Attacker do one as well. They've got one, a temporary white they call it, which again is a reactive. Oh God, say it if I mess somebody. Don't all jump in, thanks.
The reactivated.
That's the word, a reactivatable paint.
Yes.
If that's the word. Again, never tried it. It's one of them. Perhaps have to give it a go. Do a winter whitewash and try it.
Yeah.
Quick one just for Matt. He's been trying to place. Sorry, this is R short. He says, "At Matt, I've been waiting to place a PM order till Abtai buff is back in stock. Can you place an order and delay the shipping so he gets it all in one box?"
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to the 90s.
I was going to say, it's the launch.
I know that is. It's an unknown number.
It'll be about that accident you never had.
Oh yeah, I've got a few of them recently.
Hi, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to go back to Matt, Phil, and then I'll...
No, we're watching you struggle. It's great.
I'm actually waiting for chippy fluid to dry, and I'll be honest, so I can't do a lot at the minute.
Matt asks, do you chip armour in the same way? I would prime first, then pre-shade, followed by my first coat of finish colour.
Yeah, I did, to be honest, with armour, I don't pre-shade. This is my way. I just put the primer on, put the main colour on, and then either like lighten the colour and chip it, the main colour. I mean, I've seen that done. That's quite a common thing to do to give texture to your paintwork. Or if you're putting a camo on, you can obviously wear the camo away. The thing I find with pre-shading is I just end up covering it up. So
Neil, that sort of answers your question, saying how would you chipping with lacquer paints, as you can see there quickly. The only thing that's slightly different on my way of doing it, if I'm doing chipping like that, I'm always mindful that you need to get in amongst it and under it. So what I sometimes use is a little like mask oils. So I'll use mask oil on a sponge and then dip it all over so you get tiny little surface bits everywhere. And then what you can do is you run over it with a sanding sponge and it tears the top off with all the ones with the raised bits on it. And then that way, that's your chipping kicking off points. So then you can go in there then and try and get a stiff brush like Andy was using, a stipply one, which then can get the water, which dissolves then the surface contact between obviously the paint underside and obviously the top one, dissolves it and breaks it. The trouble that you've always got though with lacquer paints is it eats its way through everything. It's like alien blood. So once it's eaten through that chipping fluid underneath and gone to the coat below and dried, it ain't going anywhere. So that's the downside. That's why some ways, if you're doing, like I always say, like heavy chipping on armour, for instance, that's why acrylic paints are quite nice for it, because you can sort of wear through, you can chip through, stuff like that. But, you know, it's definitely doable with lacquer paints, like Andy's doing it now. It's just, it's one of those where it is time thing. You don't really want to be doing it a couple of days afterwards, because as the lacquer cures, it will also neutralise the chipping effects underneath.
Yeah.
Andy is now cursing. He's off camera angle doing this.
Yes, he's got a wire brush on.
Yeah, he's got a descaling pad. You bastard!
Fair. What I do sometimes is do the metal bit of the brush.
Yes.
I'll tell you what else to use. Sorry,
That's
is
all
a cocktail stick.
Yeah.
That starts it off.
You can just like scratch it once
Or
you
chisel.
like, flatten your brush down a bit, and then just use the thingy part of your brush. But it's. I mean, it's.
You know that thing you clean the barbecue with? You need one of them.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It just annoyed me that I've got the mucky marks off the off the other brush. I'm still on thinking. I'm trying to hold it close to me so I can see what I'm doing, and then it's off camera. I say this is completely the wrong brush really. I wanted a stiff one, but that one's, because I've used it on the red, it's just too mucky. Completely the wrong brush. Come on. I'm just going to clean this brush out a bit. This stiff one.
What's it contaminated with? Your one?
The red primer that I've got on the other side.
Oh, the Cab Brown. Is it contaminated your brush?
It's in my brush and I can't seem to clean it out. So when I'm like doing the yellow,
Yeah.
it's like leaving muddy marks all over the yellow.
And yeah, absolutely. Of course, you can use hairspray for chipping as well. The trouble with using hairspray for chipping, it's a one and done. The whole point is you can buy, like Andy's got that Worn Effects one, which means, you know, you can have different versions of. I think they do like 3 different ones. They do heavy chipping, mild, and Worn Effects.
Just 2 the Worn Effects and heavy chipping.
Worn Effects and heavy chipping they do. Okay. And I think, to be honest, Mig Ammo do the same.
I'm never going to go near salt chipping again. My nemesis.
See, on the yellow, it was quite hard to take off. But when you start do it on the come back to the.
That's because of the polyurethane of the paint,
yeah,
though, isn't it?
It just comes off straight away. It's too easy, really.
It's peeling like Andy after 2 weeks in the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely.
Again, it's finding that happy medium, isn't it? It's finding what works well for you. Again, it's one of those products where some people might like it like that. Other people want it to be a little bit more harder to get off, which means you give a more, I think, a subtle wearing effect. But
I prefer a wearing effect.
It's practice, isn't it? Again, it's one of them. Get a buster or whatever and try it on that before you put it on your best model.
Yes.
So what the problem is, I've used the easiest paint to come off on the highest chipping
heavy
one.
Chipping. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have really done the way around, but.
Just another thing as well, especially on metallics is obviously quite shiny, so it's going to be a bit easier to get off a matte coat, if that makes sense. That's
why these I didn't say, but these top wings are actually sprayed with rapid thinners, so it was a flat coat.
There's a lot of variables into it that you need to sort of practice.
Yeah. And I mean, the amount of chipping fluid you put on underneath, the type of surface you're putting the chipping fluid onto, the amount of top coat you put on.
Yeah.
If I turn over, this is Over hairspray. Which I should
Is
just
it-
quickly run over. Yeah.
Is this cheap hairspray?
Cheap hairspray.
Because if that's the one to use, don't get the full firm hold stuff because you'll never get it off. You want the
And this
cheapest
is
crap.
this is Tamiya XF11 with lacquer thinners. So
Oh, well, I'm going to use XF11.
sorry, XF17. Sorry.
Oh, is that? I've got XF11 here.
The copper wire. Steve's just saying he uses 1mm copper wire. I thought that would have scratched right down to the plastic.
You must have a light touch.
Very, very light touch. But yeah, Dennis is saying, yeah, you do exactly the same with the cocktail stick, same way. Wet the cocktail stick or wet the area, then just pop in with it.
Yeah.
Graham mentioned these as well. Like fibre brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably be good for the lacquer, the harder lacquers.
Yeah, I've got one of them actually.
But they probably, like with an acrylic, they probably rip it to shreds, wouldn't they?
That's the problem with acrylics. I mean, like, yeah, again, this is. I had a brush that I just used to use for chipping, a small, stiff little brush, and I cannot for the life of me find it.
I must admit, I just literally, I can show you on my one, I hack down a paintbrush like that. That's the way I do it, and it's got very blunt ends. But this is quite nice because it gets underneath stuff. This is the one that I use, and it's literally just a brush that I just oofed off the end. But it's quite firm. It's got a little bit of bend in it, enough to get underneath to get, you know, when you're putting it in, you're sort of digging at it and scratching and pushing around, but it's quite firm. So it's finding the right type of bristles that works. You want the firmness enough to be able to do it without just scraping the hell out of it.
Yeah, in fact, I'll just cut another old brush down, see if this works any better. But it's just having patience and just like, yeah, go in.
Have a little patience.
Of course, when you try and show something on camera.
No pressure.
I'm just going to mute myself because I'm going to give this a blast with the hairdryer because it's going to take forever.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, this is going over the silver that I did this morning. And I let that dry for 24 hours before I started doing it.
Neil says he's surprised we haven't had a MIG ammo hairspray yet. I think with his hair, I'm wondering we haven't had male grooming products. That'll be next. Give it a couple of years, they'll have MIG male grooming, like the lawnmower, or they'll have the MIG mower.
Yeah, but we think about is the demographic of most modelers. I don't think is there's not a lot of grooming going on at Telford.
They've done everything else.
Yeah. I'm still messing around with brushes trying to figure out which one's the best one to use for this because none of these are particularly working very well for me.
I said I'd buy it with my fantastic bonnet.
John will.
I'll have 2 bottles.
What's it called? Regrow.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not put his name on some cheap hairspray there. He called it somewhere else.
I think the key to this is just practice on a old model in it and find which works for you best before you use it in anger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Thing is, let's face it, there's a lot of variables into doing chipping because obviously if your paint is a little bit thicker, it can be a little bit more heavy to get through there, and obviously the chipping can be bigger. There's lots of different variables of how it dries, what you're trying to achieve and all things like that as well. So
yeah, I agree.
It's not the most straightforward thing. It's very easy to go over the top with it. And I think that's obviously, it's always been my thing as well. And the reason I use chipping a slightly different way, I tend to use mask oil and stuff like that, is because 9 times out of 10, I go over the top. So I peeled it all off rather than being a nice chippy experience.
The funny thing is with chipping as well, it's better if actually your top coat that you're putting over the chipping fluid is patchy. So then you get different sort of variants of the paint chip from, you know, from the thickness of the paint that you're covering it with. A bit more random with putting it on, you can get a better effect as well. So that should be enough for that. Right. So I've just put a coat of XF11 on, just thinned with Mr. Colour Thinner.
Yeah.
On this door. I'll let that dry off for a minute and then we'll chip it. We'll give it some chipping. Just get some water. Is my picture really bad or is it not?
It's not as good as it is down the unit, but it's no different from normal being at home.
I don't know why, it's really baffling because normally I'm off the Wi-Fi, aren't I? And I'm not. It must be this computer's going to have to go. I've decided I'm upgrading next week. So, I mean, that should be dry. So, what's that? 30 seconds or so?
Yeah.
So I am going in. So I've just got AK orange #2 brush, which is quite a soft brush, to be honest. And the thing is to do, is like what I do, is just put the water on, let it soak. Don't try and scrub. Just give it time to just go through the layers. Give it up a bit. Give it a minute, and I think you can even see it started to go on this edge, on this first plank. And then you can see it coming off, look.
Yeah.
And then you can go, you know, where it would naturally chip at the bottom or at the top. And, you know, you can go as mad or as little as you want. And this is the heavy chipping fluid, not the worn effect. Again, if you've got a nice contrast colour underneath, it obviously stands out better than it would. Edges as well, obviously paint chips off edges quicker.
Just push it up a little bit, go a little bit higher.
You see that? That's better. There you go. Once it's soaked in a little bit, it's easy just to get it off. And you can literally just like take the paint off, say that middle planks.
Yeah.
A bit of kitchen roll. Just dab it. So you can get some proper cool effects. See that? That's
very nice.
Anywhere near visible with my internet in a minute. And the best thing is as well, you can let that dry, and then if you wanted to give it another coat of green or whatever, you can go over it again. There should be enough chipping fluid if you don't like seal it under to do it again without putting the chipping fluid on it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thin coats for your top coat is pretty much a must, like I say, so you don't just seal everything in. There you go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
About to give that worn wood look.
Well, it is, yeah. It works quite well with this, actually.
And he's had his DA out.
Yeah.
Muted off camera. There we go. Chippy.
Himself. Like I say, it's just playing and practicing, isn't it? So like it's
Yeah.
But it definitely comes off easier, but too much on the acrylic. I find it harder to work with the acrylic than the on the something with lacquer in it, so like it definitely comes away, chips away better.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just more controllable than in scale.
yeah, without a doubt. But what I intend to do now is I'm going to spray that dark blue and chip it again, and I'm going to spray that Panzer Grey and chip it again. Once I've put some more chipping fluid on it, and then be able to see, the contrast come through. So you got like the dark sea blue and the zinc chromate and the silver, just like to build it through, and then that one you'll obviously see the silver, the red oxide, and the Panzer Grey that you'd use on a German Panzer or something. Oh, I had to shot again. And I'll play around with it, see what it looks like. So I'll come back later and see what they look like.
Very nice. Very
So
cool.
I'll do, Phil, I'll just send a photo over to you of this door.
Yeah.
And then you can put it up if you want, if my things. I'll do it through Messenger. You can use that, can't you?
Yeah.
Do that now.
I will sort that now. Hold on. Matt just bangs that over to me now. I will do that forthwith.
Do you want it to you or to the keep?
Do keep.
Okay. Right. That's one over to you then.
Do you want me to send you a picture of mine over, Matt?
Yeah, go on. If you send as well, Andy. And I can share it with the world. There we go. So there's Matt's door. It's amazing how quickly we can do this. It's like, wow. There we go. Very nice door. Worn, as you can see with the worn effects in there. If we were the BBC, we'd have the image like that all the way through, but we're not, so tough. Very good. Okay. And then we've got Andy's. Oh, that's the wrong thing. You sent it, yeah, Andy?
No.
Oh, right, okay. Just whilst we're there then, waiting, this is a photo that was done. It's a shame I can't make it bigger. I can't make this one bigger here. But if you notice, the one person who is not in that photo is Andy. And very cleverly, Nathan photoshopped us with Andy's face on.
No.
But Andy actually wasn't even in this photo.
I'll tell you what, it was a good bit of Photoshop work.
That was some good photoshopping on that. But yeah, I can't even think where he was whilst we did it. But obviously that was at Cosford a few years ago.
That was a good show, that.
It is. Very good. Excellent. Very nice. Right, you sent the photo over yet, Andy?
Yeah, you should have them, yeah.
Right, okay. Hold on. No. Where is it? Where'd you send it?
Keep on it.
No.
Yeah, I've got it. I can see it. No, you sent it to me, Andy, you muppet.
Oh shit, I have as well.
Language.
You know, in your own time. Look, we had it seamlessly then.
I've forwarded it, mate. Don't worry, I've just forwarded it on.
Shows how many times I've been talking to Matt, though, doesn't it?
Right.
I got it, Phil.
Yeah, I got it. There we go. There we go. That's our wing. Very nicely done. And the other one. Didn't it look different, like a different colour completely?
Yeah. I think it looks better on camera, the red one, but it looks better in real life, the other one. Weird.
So say on camera, the red one looks like bright red on mine.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Not that browny red that Cav Brown is.
Yeah.
I like the yellow. That's like an oxide colour, isn't it, on the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
what
it's
Cav
definitely
Brown
an oxidey colour on camera like that, though. It's just bright red, isn't it?
Now I'm on about the yellow, Andy. Like it's like a yellow the XF4.
Yeah, there is XF4.
Yeah, but that looks like yellow to me.
All right.
Oh, it's yeah.
Very nice. Very good.
Anyway.
That looks like cool, doesn't it?
I need to sort out a new chipping brush because I don't know where my original one's gone. I've obviously used it for something else and thrown it away.
Gone in the clear up.
Yeah. Right, let me mute myself while I spray again.
Very good. Right, shall I show about doing
Yes.
work for engines and various things like that?
Yes, I'm going to clear my airbrush out like Candice. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Right, so obviously we were talking about using buffables and things like that earlier. We're down in here. What we've got is just a resin engine and using something like a dark iron buffable for painting an engine up and then making all the details pop in one without having to sort of go round and dry brush and all things like that afterwards. Obviously you can add all details if you wanted to, but a quick and easy way of doing it is to literally grab some of this and make sure you get the good pigment off of the bottom, because again this will separate and everything that goes with it. So what we got down in here is just some 214. Okay, and then if I keep hold of the block, what we can actually do is just brush this in and just work it into all the little lumps and bumps and everything that's right the way over this. Okay, and get it go over, and again it's a generous coat because it's a pigment and it's the pigment that will buff. So this starts you off very nicely for the engine and being in its base colour. Back. Bit messy to start with because it sort of flicks everywhere. That's why you want to make sure you've got some toweling and everything down for it. You just want to make sure you've covered everywhere because this will dry quite quickly. Back. So that's your engine done in the black, just like that. Okay, so we'll just give that a minute or two just to dry it off because I'm now covered in it. And go around it even. Okay. So that's on there just like that. What I tend to do is like this brush here, I never ever clean it. It's always just ready to go. So the great thing is it's got some pigment on this. So if I need to do a little bit of dry brushing in a wheel well, or if you need to use, you know, anything else like that at all, then you've got a brush right there with some pigment onto it, which will give you a natural metal type finish. And again, even though this color here is dark iron, so this is the 214 dark iron color, it starts off black, but you can buff it back to being silver. So you've got your other colors down here as well. Great color, to be honest, is they're stainless. Really very nice color, that one. Okay, and then obviously you've got usual things like aluminium or aluminum, and we've got chrome, and obviously all the other ones. We've got chrome silver down here, which are very, very bright. This is the only one out of all of them that is pretty much black, as you can see straight off the bat. So it's a good starting point where all of these will buff up to this color. Once it's buffed, it's the only one that starts that way. These don't really change very much, so this is why I actually like dark iron so much for doing this type of buffing work, things like that. But as you can see, it's drying on here, and it will dry really very, very flat indeed. But literally, just let it dry off. It won't take long. You just give it a second just to dry off, and then what we can do is start to brush it. So I've got in here other ones. So this is ones for doing more of my silver work, things like that. And as you can see by the ends of them, how they flared out and stuff, it's because literally just knocking over them, they naturally wear down. But these brushes are great to keep just around. So if you ever need to do like weathering on the floor of a cockpit or anything else like that, you can literally just pop along, grab a brush, give it a rub, and away you go. Okay. So as soon as this is drying off, just a secondie. Again, the thing is, if it's not dry, when you start to buff, if it's got a wet bit, it might drag it and clean it off back down to the resin. So you want to make sure it's totally dry just before we get into that actual stage. So we just give it a moment just to go off. But again, you can use it for everything. So grills and radiators and all of those good bits on your model. And I tend to use it for generally just rubbing around to give wear. So the other thing you can do with it as well is to come in and go right the way over the surface of your model. So if you're doing armour, for instance, you can come along and just give it a light rub everywhere, and it'll just make the edges polish, and it makes them look shiny, which gives you that weighted look. So if you look at things like when I was doing blacks, for instance, this is what I do to black. Give it a coat of this, just brush it over it very lightly so the edges and everything catches, and it gives it a shine and a little bit of a rub to it and things like that. Okay, so they're all muted whilst they're all spraying. John's away with the fairies. Nathan, what are you building, Nath?
Yamato.
Oh, you're doing the baby one.
Little tiny. What do you call the tower bit? Is it the superstructure?
Yes.
I think it's just like it's a stalled build from about a year ago, so I thought I'd just fiddle with something while you guys are demoing.
Fair enough. Very nice. Enjoyable build.
Yeah, 1700 is small though, but it's an is it Aoshima kit? It's a brilliant kit, but it's got some tiny parts on it. It's unbelievable how small some of these bits are. But no, it's good. I'll get some pictures up because this is a bit of a Shelf of Doom build.
Cool. John, what are you working on? I saw you holding plastic.
I'm just whacking together the new Tamiya little 48 scale T55.
Very nice.
Yeah, Tamiya, no need to say anything else really, is there?
They are very, very nice indeed. Very, very good. So, everyone in chat?
Yeah, they're talking about Fords.
Yeah, so I see. Right, okay, so down in here, see if this is dried off. As I say, really you want this to be totally dry before we get in. If I show you about doing the scrub on something else, let's put it on. So, for instance, if you were doing it on this little guy, okay, you can pop around some of the areas. So we got onto here, that way, that in here. Knock it off, and again, this is all pigment now down in here. Now it's dry, it's actually pigment. So no longer is it going to be a paint, it is literally a pigment. So make sure you've just got it all off your brush. Okay, and then when you come along onto your bits of armour down in here like this, you can just lightly rub. And what happens is you'll get a sheen to it, and the sheen just gives it a metal weighted look. But also on the edges it will catch, so it's sort of natural weathering. And because it will be dark, and then what will happen is, or hopefully if I do this, and I'll show you, when you move it onto its edges, here goes the light, it will get the metallic hit. And then it gives it that nice shine to it. And all the various things. So it looks quite flat, and then when you maneuver it in the light, with the exception of that bit falling off, hopefully you can see, you just sort of catch them in there. So it's not like you've painted anything silver, but it just gives it a bit more of a weighted look because everything's a little bit more reflective and it's subtle. So you can see them down in here and on here, that it just keeps it very subtle, not changed anything, just gives everything a nice wear. And again, you can go around and you can do different areas heavily. So on grills and that, you think there'll probably be a bit of metal-y work back here. You can probably see the bristles, how they're metallicing as well, where these are polishing. The bristles are physically doing themselves. And again, looking on the roof here, on these, as these come to life. But it just gives it a more weighted look to it and a heavier. And this is just the reflection. If you look on this one up here, obviously it's not done yet. And then when we come up, just a way of adding weight by putting a little bit of shine into it. It just makes it look heavier by the reflectivity. Okay.
Chris says, on the subject of dry brushing, he always seems to rub too much off on the paper before he gets it on the kit.
Again, this is one of those ones where if you're using oils and things like that, you can dry brush forever. But if you're using acrylics, obviously it's quite a short window. You've actually got a workable life. And enamels dry brush longer as well because they stay wetter. They don't dry as fast.
Yeah, it's one reason to keep hold of any old Humbrals that you've got.
Yeah.
They're pretty good for dry brushing.
Right, just got to be honest, I'm just shooting some air on this just to dry this down. Here we go. Okay, so taking our brush as we were just doing there before. Okay, so again, all clear. There's nothing coming off the brush down on here now, so you know you're going to be fine in here. And then what you can do is just start to brush. Again, it's still a little bit wet. Just be a little bit mindful of that. Then doing it with a brush. To start with, obviously all the high areas will start to polish because you're using a brush. Literally, I always thought it'd be great to do a train with this. You know, because obviously they're dark and then you've got the metal areas. But the pigment will pull and it will drag around, and it's the pigment that's buffing. See how it's starting to fire up now? Okay. These, so we're just going to do these injectors and things, and say quick brush, they start to liven up, and obviously the more we go in, the more things will turn. So all the details are popping. So it's almost like, think about it, like dry brushing in reverse. Instead of putting it on, you're actually taking it away and polishing it on the surface. Just going over that way. See, it's there. So that's it, normal. Now coming through. So again, it's a three-dimensional thing. As the light catches it from all the different angles as you look at it, you'll see. But it's not like you're going to be overdoing it by some area. And again, the more you rub, and because obviously we're just using the bristles for doing the polishing, we're not coming in with a cloth as such. You can actually drag and move the pigment around, and you can make other areas go on. That piping now, looking really nice. Oh. Just going to keep flicking at it. Now it's properly drying everywhere. You're nicely warm, so you're keeping it black. Okay. So I won't do that side, we'll do it side on side so you can see the difference. And I must admit, I do enjoy this type of weathering almost. And it is handleable, you can handle it, it's just you might get a little bit covered in obviously the metallic, and then if you touch something else you don't want to be metallic, you can make a little bit of a mess. Yeah, those bolt heads all to start to polish. Okay, so it's starting to do more into the chipping effect of it now. Into like that. Along in these, really start to buff up. And again, you want your bristles to be quite soft, because the thing is, if they get too scratchy, you could just scratch through it. But as soon as this stuff goes on and it's dried in, and now you're into the buffing thing, just eating. And there you go. So you've gone from that to that. It's got that nice heavy metal cast look right the way through. So it's a very, very nice way of doing it. We'll just finish off this side now.
So I think buffle balls are perfect for engines and things. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
They're just
It's
really
normally,
good
wouldn't it? You'd do it, you'd spray it black and then dry brush it, or try and pick out all the parts.
yeah.
Really good for radial engines.
Yeah.
So you catch all the like cylinders and they look brilliant. And it is just one quick coat when it's done.
Yeah.
Because say one paint like dark iron, you can do multiple effects with that, can't you?
David's asking what type of paint being buffed. Hang on a second, it's moved. What would the type of paint being buffed affect how shiny it becomes, like acrylic versus enamel?
Well, the thing is, with all the buffables, they tend to be enamels. The paint that you're actually doing. If you're going over the top of them, obviously it is that thing where the texture sort of shines through a little bit more. If you've got a flat coat, you put a buffable onto it, it looks quite rough because it's the flat and the way it sort of polishes the top bits. So there we go. That's buffables for engines and things like that. Really very, very nice, very straightforward. Gives a really nice effect. You know, and to be honest, the camera never does silver very well anyway, but I think it's turned out quite nice, really. Very good.
Good job.
Top job.
Top job.
Top banana. But yeah, if you're doing like radial engines, stuff like that, it's ideal for it because obviously with all the cooling with the pots, things like that, it makes the tops of them really, really shiny as well. So even, you know, predominantly the colour will be the silver colour. You know, instead of putting a wash into it, you do it the other way. So you just dry brush absolutely everything. So the shadows keep the dark iron colour, that black original colour like's on this, down deep. And all the top areas really shine and pop. Or the other way you can do it, of course, is put your silvers on and just use a normal silver and then use like an oil wash over the top to go into the recesses. It just depends which way you want it. But for a natural, real shine, and again, it's that three-dimensional thing where as you look at it, you move, the light changes, you get different reflections and lighting effects and stuff like that. So, yes. Cool. How's it going at Chippy Central, Andy?
Muted, isn't it?
He is muted because he's spraying. I see he's putting on his top coat. Is his Buster going to come back to life?
Resurrect Buster. How's your clay pots, Andy? He cracked him.
No, clay pots are right on it. Well, they're covered in paint, so might have a bit of trouble. So's all the inside of the cockpit. No, I've put a clear coat on it. I used XF86 with lacquer thinners so it dried quickly. And then I've gone over with the Worn Effects chipping fluid over that again once that dried, and then I've now put the top coat on, and all with the aid of a cheap hairdryer.
That's what you need.
Yes.
Essential tool in the toolbox, a cheap hairdryer.
Exactly. So I'm just going to do the Panzer Grey on top of this, and then let it dry for a little bit longer, and then do some more chipping.
Not doing extra dark sea blue.
That's what that is. Believe it or
Is that
not.
what that is? Who's
Well, it's actually Tamiya
XF17
sea blue. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks a bit black, doesn't it? But it is. That's why I did it over the zinc chromate, and then I do Panzer Grey over that.
It's weird how black it looks on camera.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Light on it a bit more, or
It still looks black.
it is very dark. I must admit, it's very dark, sea blue. I'll just mute myself again and I clean my airbrush out and spray the Panzer Grey.
Cool. Fine. Right. Okay. Any questions in the chatty areas? I think they're all just yapping amongst themselves in there. I don't understand that animosity towards Mick. I don't think there is any.
No, we love Mig.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely not from our side anyway.
No, I'll tell you what, if it worked for Mig and his inspiration for armour, I wouldn't be doing armour, if that makes sense. It was him that got me interested with his techniques back in the day when he bought his first FAQ book out, and, you know, he was in the magazines that really sparked my imagination for doing armour and stuff. So I'm never knocking him in that respect, to be honest. You know.
It's not meant with any malice at all.
I know, we might take the mick, but that's just, we take the mick out of everyone, so I wouldn't take it personally.
No,
that's our side of it. Yeah, I know we annoy a lot of people and all the rest of it. Like, people compare me to Mig, and it's like, I would be flattered to be in the same building as Mig, let alone be compared to doing anything like him, because as I say, he's very, very talented guy. and he's built multiple companies up over the years, and I know how difficult it is building up companies. So the time he finds to do it all is beyond me, and do the modelling and everything else all at the same time. So hats off to him.
Yeah, he's been a pioneer. I think
He has, yeah, absolutely. I think what it was probably Mig who sort of pioneered, bringing social media into modelling and things like that. Definitely.
And heavy weathering as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think really what Mig did, he showed how to do advanced weathering simply.
Yeah.
I think that was the clever thing with him, is that he sort of sat down and showed you how to do it, and it was like, it's, once somebody shows you, it's a lot easier than somebody trying to explain it to you. And that was the nice thing. And because Mig used social media, absolutely, kudos to him. He knows what he's doing with it and everything else. And now he's built up, obviously working through the companies and everything. And as he is now with Mig, I think he's literally onto a winner with it. But there's definitely no animosity. We are literally in his shirt.
Debt, in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is the buffing windows for the Mr. Hobbies Super Metallics?
They don't buff.
I say, I don't think they buff. That's the thing.
They're
I
not.
think, I wouldn't attempt to buff them, because I think you'll just heat them up maybe if they're still soft and could affect them.
Yeah.
Buffable paints, like the one I've just used, they've got a very heavy pigment into them, which is buffable. And that's all that's happening is, it's, to be honest, that's just black as the base in there, but it's got a lot of pigment. So you're buffing on the black, which gives you that colour, which works very, very nicely in that one.
Right, we've got a question from Chris on our chat.
Mm-hmm.
It says he's starting to build up his stash. He's looking at getting kits, which will be sought after later on. So how limited are the limited edition kits, and any recommendations for the ones out just now? They started to buy the Battle of Britain Eddard stuff.
Well, yeah, they all are. They do stick to it. There's only one where they've done a reissue, and that was the Zvezda Second Hein.
Yeah.
And I think the backlash probably they got from that, they've learnt not to do that again, because I think that was a bit unfair. It was limited edition, everybody bought it, and then they bring a second edition out, which they've never done it since, have they? Ever.
No.
So, I mean, as in the Eddard ones are definitely collectible, as we've seen through auction prices of we've done for what we've put up. So, and I would think more so not stuff that's their own kit. If they've done a Hasegawa kit, or the Revell like Tornado, or Trumpy's MiG-23s, or whatever, the MiG-19 say, they will probably be more collectible, because they're definitely not going to reissue them. The other kits are obviously going to be, if you're doing the Mustang, the Spitfire, their own mould, so they're going to come out in different versions, boxes, forever.
Yes.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. So really, you really want probably the ones that aren't their own kit, that they've boxed as a special, shall we say?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one to grab. Sorry, I'll tell you one to grab, which is still reasonable now, and as far I think it's discontinued, but is never been very popular as a limited edition from them, and is the L29 Delphin, which is the AMK kit, which I know we've said before is just I've built it. I know Andy and John's built it, and it's still available, and it's never been that popular, but I reckon that could be one that could be very collectible in the future. Gut feeling.
Yes. Yeah.
That Albatross has gone now, the Albatross, the
we won't be talking about. Yeah.
That's gone. That's discontinued and gone. Again, that's a special hobby kit. So, yeah.
I think it's one of those things where people have to understand that, and it was mentioned about, because obviously some of the Eddard kits are going for a hell of a lot of money now. There's a difference between kit collecting and for building. Because again, yes, of course, you can go out and you can buy a kit, you can buy the decals for it, you can buy all the aftermarkets and make one of the Eddard sets. But you haven't got the Eddard set. That's the whole point to it. People collect the the boxes, because they are collecting the box art ones, the things with it, and also the instructions that go with it, and all the other bits and pieces. And that's different to a builder. If you get a builder, you get people say, "Oh, pay that for it. I can go out and buy the kits all cheaper." Of course you can, absolutely, and most people do. But if you're more of a kit collector and everything else, and I am guilty because I've got a pile of them there, it is that thing where, and I have done, and I paid over the odds for kits. because I want that boxing of it, you know, and that's what it is. And that's because it's more the kit collecting side of it. And something I've been doing this year, I've actually got a bit of a collection going now from certain manufacturers and things that I'm collecting. I'm not going to tell you because you lot are all bumped the price up. But but there's various kits I'm after and I'm sought after. And when I see them coming up, I tend to snag them if I can at a reasonable price because, again, they're just going to get rarer and rarer and rarer. And it's part of the hobby. We often talk about the two sides of the hobby. There's the guys who will literally buy all the kits, but really very rarely build. And you get people who just build and have no stash whatsoever and don't collect kits because they literally go from time to time. There's no right or wrong to it. It's all part of the fun of the hobby. You know, it's no different from people who buy millions of tools and never use them, which I'm totally guilty of, you know. But yeah, just one of those ways, different ways of doing it all.
Yeah. And someone else asking about the right pink for the Jag. We get asked this a lot, don't we? And I keep sticking with the worst paint in the world for it. But Robin's asking what I use to do my GR1. My Jaguar, rather, because doing a Tornado. And I use the extra acrylics Desert Pink.
That is the best.
It's horrible to spray. It's dead. Well, you put retarder in it, it's not too bad. But
hey, Andy's still muted and he's going to just try and say something in a minute.
That's the one. He's got it there. I reckon that's cheaper in the car.
You shouldn't have told him.
I know.
Yeah. If you do like a Tornado after it's come back from the Middle East, they chipped. They had so much chipping on them as the paint wore off. But I reckon actually acrylics would chip nicely, wouldn't it?
No, not really. What is it? It's 1822?
Something like that.
1032.
No, 1032.
It's the best. I think I still swear that's the best one to use.
Have they ever done that in extra colour?
Yes.
So you can get it in extra colour enamels as well?
Yeah, I mean, you're mad enough to use extra acrylics. You're just barking if you're going to use it.
So yeah, I'll take fire into it with that.
You've gone a bit quiet.
You've got to quiet again. Give your mic another knock.
Can't hear it all now.
Try now.
Steve Little's asking,
No.
Bill, decals or paint on his Millennium Falcon? It's the Revell one. What do you reckon, decals or paint on your Falcon?
It depends really on which way you want to do it, isn't it? If the decals look good, I think it's easier to decal it is to mask it because there's lots of piping and various bits and pieces to get round. I've done both over the years on mine. Literally, some of them I've painted, some of them I've decaled, and go from that way of doing it. So it's personal choice into it.
Then a question for Matt, really. Are any of the MiG-21s you've got in stock all right for the Comrade Buller?
I've just been looking at that. The
John's sent to ask SMT is if that's
the
in.
72nd ones he wants. The MF Bomber version has got a Russian one from August 91. So that will sneak in
Just about, yeah.
That will just about sneak in.
Didn't realise that they use the MiG-21s that late. I thought they were already been in that sort of time.
And actually, it's quite a nice camo scheme on it as well. So yes, David, if you get that one, the bomber one,
I tell you what,
it's the checkboxing, and that's not eligible.
I'll tell you a good kit to get that I don't think we can get in stock. But if you want a 72nd MiG-21, the early one from Revell, is it the F-13, Nave?
Yeah.
Is a cracking little kit. I think they have re-released it, but I think it's discontinued again now, if I'm honest. So I don't think we can get it in, but no.
I wonder about that.
Chester do a nice little 72nd one.
Yeah, I built the Zvesta one. It's not Edard standard, but it goes together surprisingly well. It looks horrible on the sprue. It looks like it's going to be dead flashy and tricky, but it went together really nicely.
Yeah, I forgot about Chester doing it.
What's he going to do now?
Can you guys hear me all right?
No,
we can't hear a thing, mate. Nothing.
I missed the trick there, didn't I?
The problem is I don't know which one it's using. I've got 3 webcams and this.
Give him a hit. That's what I do because I have 3, and I'm like, dunk, 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 dunk. Wait for the meter to move.
That
Yeah,
one?
that's it. You're on that one.
That's all right.
The
That's
front-
the main one. That's the one in front of me.
What's up with your globe? Is that packed in your globe?
For some reason, Windows tries to keep taking hold of the volume levels, and it drops them right down. I've disabled all the others, but when I
Yeah.
go into the volume settings, it keeps like knocking it back down again, and I pull it back up, and just like knocks it back down again. Something's trying to take control of it.
See,
Obviously,
that's what was happening to me the other night. Same thing. But
Yeah.
that's because I had Skype running twice somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought you were buying a new mic anyway, Andy.
I'm going to, but
Oh, have you been told you can't?
no.
Oh, right.
So you need it for work purposes.
Yeah. She did say, "What do you need it for?"
What do you say to talking to? What do you think I need it for?
Yeah, then you hear a slap. And you get to smack. Neil says he's started using watercoloured weathering pencils for chipping. Easy to wipe it off if you do too much. Do you do that with the silver ones, using them for that? I've never tried it.
I do for 72 cockpits and little scratches on 72. They're really good for doing scratches around cockpits. Quite good for that. I like the grey ones as well because they're a little bit less.
Yeah.
But
I like using
cockpits are brilliant for that. Just putting all the scratches on the floor. Perfect.
Is it 5 o'clock yet?
Huh?
Is it 5 o'clock yet?
He's
Because
waiting
I
for
need
his tea,
mine.
isn't he?
Got ages till you tea. Do you want to have a pause?
Peter did put on here, he says the team is obsessed, obviously, with chips, because obviously we're doing chipping, talking about chips and everything else. What do we got? I'm surprised that Mig hasn't rebounded nail files and calling modelling sanding sticks. Yes. Everyone does, that's the thing. Hello from France. What is the topic for this video? Ooh, well, we don't forget today. Well, this section is chipping, buffing, and burnishing. Matt will be aciding himself shortly.
I will. Yeah.
So it's not actually building as such. We're doing little mini ones all the way through the weekend. Is that the Edard Tempest engine? It is, and it is a beautiful, beautiful piece of casting and moulding and everything else. I have to say, when it first racked up, we did an unboxing review of it. And it is very, very nice indeed. So at some point you might actually see, because I have got it over there, I've got the weekend edition of the Tempest Mark V, so I might do it with the engine just to go along with the Typhoon I've got upstairs. So it'd be like little and large.
Yeah.
Chris has said in chat, says he's enjoying this more than actual Telford. I'm talking to more people than do at the show.
This is true. It's what it's all about.
It's more relaxing for us, isn't it?
It's more relaxing. You don't feel like you're, you know, when you talk to people, actually, when you're at the show, you always feel rushed, don't you?
Yeah.
It's horrible to say because, you know, like you've got it more than us, but, you know, like a queue of people, you know, want to talk to you and you're acutely aware of, like, you can see them waiting.
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, it is odd. Hopefully, like, when we do it again, we
were talking about it yesterday, but, you know, you were saying about first couple of times you come along and they like weave off. You see, when I'm talking to people, sometimes you'll see people come along and then they'll move away. And you'll see them keep coming back around. Yeah. And then it's the trick is to say, I've really got to speak to this person because you know they've been trying to speak to you, but because you've been speaking to other people, they're very polite and they don't want to interrupt. So, and sometimes I apologize if you're one of these people who get it, but sometimes I'll say, I've really got to speak to this person, only because I might have been talking to a group of people for the last 10 minutes and I've seen somebody come through, then I've spoken to another, and that same person I'm seeing who wants to have a chat with you about something, but they just can't get to you. And again, you get other people who will literally go, excuse me, anyway, Phil, I want to know, and they will just butt in. But you get very polite people, being typically British, will stand there in queue for hours. And I usually then will say, I've really got to speak to this person. So if that's ever happened to you at any of the shows, please don't take it personally. It's just that poor person I've seen going round and round and round, or stood there back patiently waiting for ages, but they'll never push forward. So I do try and make time for those people. So sometimes you feel really guilty doing it. You know, you'll say, look, I've really got to speak to this person because, you know, but you do. You get people stood behind in the wings. You usually get a group and then the others. But yeah, always difficult one.
I've had a couple of people say hello to me while I've been stood there in the toilets doing my business.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I've had conversations about weathering.
What? As you're peeing on the shoes because you're not looking what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Your wash won't come off. This is not the time to be talking about it.
I'm just marking my territory.
Tony
God.
says, Nathan, that's the right scale. I think he means
It's
about your thing.
I'm going cross-eyed. I'm putting 1/700 scale searchlights in, and it's like
1/700th. Is that what you're doing? How are you doing that without an optivisor on? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you need your optivisor for that.
I think I'm using like just a vague sense of touch.
I'm just going to bug out and come back to see if I can get a bit of a better reception. I don't know if it's just a thing. I'll be back in a moment.
All right.
There's another one for John. Is that what you're looking for now, John?
Yeah. I'm just seeing what boxings have got.
Right, stick John on just for a minute, seeing as we're
doing Russian stuff.
oh, gee, hold on, he's back. He's stolen John's number 2 slot. There you go.
Well,
John's back over here now.
Oh, that's better.
You're right now.
Well, I can't see you, Phil. I can see to a John.
Yeah, that's John.
Yeah, but I can see your name, and I can see Mr. B.
Oh, right, there you go. How's that? Is that better?
That's better. I can see Nathan. I couldn't even see Nathan before. Now he's
Where are you?
pistol.
You in 4? Or which number are you in now? You're in number 2. Right, there you go. He's in 2. Right, where's John? John's 1. No, Andy's 1. 3. Look, you've all moved position. It's like moving seats when you're having a meal.
Yeah. SMT.
Yes.
Andy, get him in stock, quick.
That's one you can pick.
No, seriously. Chop, chop.
That's no good because that's all check.
What about that trumpeter one I did? Can you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know what markings are in the box.
Well, got a red star on it.
Yeah,
Right.
you did it as a red
Be
start.
okay
on.
then.
You can do
This
it.
is no good.
You got to get past Mr. Buller. Comrade Buller is going to be vetting everybody's entry.
Tell you what, you're in for a rough ride if it don't count.
Don't try and get it past John. He will know.
You will.
Ah, it's a nice easy.
Ooh, that weekend edition, the R. That's got
Andy,
Quick, Andy, put them in.
get him in,
Always
Andy,
in
quick.
stock, Andy.
that's got one used by the Russians in Afghanistan in 1982.
Why
Right.
aren't they in the shop anymore?
I don't know. I don't know if we've ever had the R in. Get it in, Andy. Hey, that's got a cool scheme as well. That's like the sandy green camo one in it.
Yeah. See
Yeah.
that one there?
Oh, that's nice. That is. So what the R then? That isn't it? The Recon one, isn't it?
Yes,
Uh,
that's the Recce Bird.
EDK 84123.
He's on it. My man's on it.
Right, just a couple of howdies here. We've got hello or howdy to North Dakota with Rascal
Hello.
Hobbies. And also we've got hello to Hamburg in Germany.
Oh,
Hello.
Happy
Hello.
lockdown.
Is Germany in lockdown as well now?
That's it.
Welcome to the club. France are as well, aren't they?
yeah.
Got a question from Winnebago John. Alpha Jets in 148 or 32?
Right, 48 kinetic. John, show him the kinetic one. There you go, that one. I don't think you could get a 30-second one, can you, Alfred Jet?
No,
I
You
don't.
can't.
30-second.
You can't.
Right, 30
and that
second.
because there is an older version of that. Didn't Esky bring a 48?
Yes. Yeah,
Very
originally
old.
it was Esky, and then, as I say, that's the one to
Bit
go for.
number K48043.
John,
Yeah.
what was the number for that MiG-21?
EDK.
Talked about that. But
Yeah,
Which one? The R?
and it was 84. Or was it 123?
The R was 84123.
what about a T6 in 172?
T6.
Is that the Texan?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a good question.
It if you can get it, Academy did one in 72. But again, it's getting older with Academy kits. And then obviously Hella did one. Which actually I reckon for its age will probably be a bit like the Trojan. I don't think it's too bad if you can cope with rivets and raised bits. I can't think of anybody else who might have done one. Special Hobby or anybody like that's never done one that I know of. Or Sword. Has Sword ever done one? I don't think they have either. I'm thinking more the limited run.
Yeah, so Frederick himself has said it's really badly underrepresented. I think
It is
right.
for such a thingy aircraft, isn't it? Really, such a
Lynn's
widely used. Go on, sorry.
Lynn's asked the $64,000 question. Do we think Telford will be on next year? Yeah, we've got to watch the vaccines come in, haven't we?
I don't know. Do you think people
that's going to last long? How long are you going to be vaccinated for? That'll be the next question.
And then Danny's
It's going to be a life one and done for life, or we're going to have it annually, like the flu jab.
Like the flu jab, isn't it? And then Danny's asked how the Trumpeter MiG-21s compare with the Edard ones. I think you said it yesterday, didn't you? It's like,
yeah, the MF one they're easier to build, aren't they? Really, they're less complicated, and I mean, and they do an early F-13, which Edard don't do.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, it's again the only 48th one for the F-13. John, are you going to back me up here?
Yeah, the F-13, I think, is the Trumpy one, isn't it? That's it.
And that's the forward.
Yeah, the flip up.
Yeah,
the windscreen goes that way instead of sideways.
And it's got the shorter cone, and it shot cone radiator.
Yeah,
I
haven't actually got them.
You haven't?
That's the one version of the MiG-21 I haven't got.
And they get them in stock.
Yeah, do you want one? We can get you one.
Get
sold. What else have we got here? Yeah, it's all good banter with Mig. We're getting Mig on one day. It'd be great to have with us. It'd be fantastic. We could take him out for a few drinking games. He'd love it. A night out with me and Matt on the town in Donny. What more could he ask for?
Hold on a minute. If we're going to Finger, I'm off to Spain.
Yeah,
all right, we'll go to him.
I will go to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi guys, could you please show how to strip a model if it was been painted bad? Well, can't really do that here because that's a messy, horrible job. Personally, there's lots of different ways, from Persil Power Fairy Spray, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Fairy Power Spray.
Oh, I've moved it because I'm being safe these days. IPA. I like to do IPA in a zip bag and leave it soaking overnight and then come away and it just peels off. Great thing about IPA in that, it doesn't harm clear parts, it doesn't harm filler. It will literally just take the paint off down to plastic.
The other thing as well is really don't bother and just rub it back down.
Yeah. Unless you've made a really bad job so you cannot see the panel lines anymore and the riveting detail's gone, okay? If you haven't, I would just lightly sand it. We often talk about this, don't we? Yeah. Lightly sand the entire thing, reprime and go again, instead of stripping it back down to plastic, because there's not really a much need unless you have literally obliterated all the surface detail and you want to get it all back. But even that would be a nightmare to get it out. So, but IPA with a toothbrush works a treat.
Yeah.
Just going to mute myself because I need to talk to Andy.
Well, he better mute himself as well. Otherwise, we'll be hearing half a conversation. But it's very rude to do this on air.
The phone ringing is.
Well, Krista's working on Robble's rod. Finish it before Sunday. Oh, God.
That's the thing, like wacky races, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's that thing, isn't it?
Like a tank with something else stuck on the top. It's really funky looking.
Why do people buy kits to store instead of buy and build them right then? Again, I think it's just one of those things. I speak to and have got friends of mine who are more collectors than builders. And sometimes you have to sort of see the wider picture. I've got a friend of mine and he's literally given up the hobby, but he still buys kits and all the rest of it. But he's got really bad arthritis and joint pains, and there's no way he can model. Physically, it's just too painful for him to do it. So he's had to knock it on the head. But as he said, he's still going to be following. He still watches and all the rest of it that comes with it. purely because it's what he's been doing. He's been doing it since he was 7 years old. Just because he physically can't do it, he still wants to keep his, hand in the hobby to know what's going on. He still enjoys watching things. He still loves watching us. And the things that like that, and obviously watching other people's work, and if he can, he still passes on the the questions and that. But his way of getting into it is that he still buys the kits, still that excitement when a kit arrives at your home and you can fondle the plastic and all stuff like that. So fair play. I think it's one of those things. Sometimes it's taken out of your hands that you can't model anymore, and does that mean you shouldn't take no part in that hobby just because you can't do it? So definitely.
Yeah.
Any hints for using MIG paint? I got the Tiger and struggled with it. The white creamy not going down smoothly. All MIG paints are incredibly thin. That's what we've said about them, is that I don't get on with them because they're too thin. I prefer a thicker paint, so to speak. And that's why I don't really like them. But they're very thin, so you have to build up the coats. So nice light coats, let them dry, and then go on, and you can build up the colours. If you're using white and creams and that, it's so easy with a thin paint as well to flood it. And what happens by flooding is that you put down a coat and it's fine, but it hasn't, it's not fully a thick colour yet. It's still quite translucent. So you put another one on. And what happens is you haven't let the coat before dry, and then it literally becomes one thick coat that's translucent. And then you put another one on top because you think, oh, it needs a heavier coat. And then you end up with a really thick, heavy, translucent coat that looks a mess. And then you get runs in it and all the various things to it. So the secret really with MIG paint is thin coats, let them dry, give them half an hour between each coat, go onto it again, let it dry, and you can build them up, no problem at all. Personally, I just take forever. I can't be bothered. I like to just like one and done. But if that's the secret to using those paints, they give a very nice fine finish.
Aren't the AK ones similar?
Yeah, well, I don't think they're as thin as the MiGs, because I've used them both. I used MiGs on the World War I tank when I was doing that. And then obviously I think we had to go with AKs when I did the Hurricane, wasn't it, and stuff. And we ended up going. No, I tell you what, we used the AKs on. That was on that. We spoke about it earlier on that massive HE111, the 32nd one I did. We were using them on that, and but the MIG paints are definitely thin. They're very, very thin, thin to an each of their lives. So, so yes.
I don't use them. It's just not the sort of paint I like using anymore. I've got nothing against them, so.
Again, the guys are on about collecting versus building and not getting it. But then the thing is that how many kits have you got in your stash? Would you ever build that? And to be honest, my stash is somewhat growing, and not to mention me and Matt's stash now, which is obviously clearly a warehouse. So and it is, when you look at it that way, it's like, would you ever build them all? There's not enough hours in the day to build all the kits. So technically, have already got stuff in your stash you're never going to build. So,
but the enjoyment of buying.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah, I think you were muted at the time, but I was saying people, even if they don't build anymore, it's still nice the excitement of a kit arriving, unpackaging, going through the plastic.
It's the endorphin release, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's like anything. It's like people always have more shoes. You only got 2 feet, but you'll have 10 pairs of shoes.
Don't answer that in this house. Mind you, I'm not being funny. He's just as bad.
I do like shoes.
To be honest, between my other half and him, they could like fill shoe shops.
Yeah. No, the other week, Leslie has got one of her who she does clients for is a shoe shop.
Yeah.
And she had to go when we went to the opticians the other day, and I did have to come back. She wouldn't let me come to the shoe shop because they do handmade shoes. It's very expensive. It's not like you're going into Debenhams or whatever. And she has said, they do she's not into shoes at all, where I quite like them. And she goes, they're fantastic, but you can't come. I'm not going to let you go because I know.
Mind you, that said, she did have a pair of handmade boots made down here, didn't she? A couple of years ago.
I bought them, didn't I? Do you know what? She's wore them twice. To ruin them. I'm like, well, what's the point? Well, I'm going to say it's a bit podcast.
I was going to say, yeah.
What's the point of having them if you're not going to wear them, kind of so. But she's different from me because she hates shoes, full stop. But she likes these boots. But getting her to wear them is just like, well, what's the point?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But there you go.
I don't know. I mean,
You can tell next time you see.
Matt, can you get hold of a 148 scale Tamiya 0?
No.
There you go.
Because Hobbyco don't bring them in, and we'd have to order them on a special order, and we'd have to order 36. And to be honest, I don't think we'll shift 36 of them.
Yeah, does anyone need a squadron?
The only other person that I might be able to get one from is Gary at Tiger Robbie's, because he does bring that sort of stuff in. I'll ask him if he's got any left, actually.
Right.
But as us personally, no, because unless there's a big demand for it, and I don't know which version, because that's the one that's a bit weird where it's raised and recessed, and I don't know which version's which for it. Has anybody got any info on that? Like,
I can never remember which one it is, but there is the odd duff one out, which is. Like
I mean, if we did get enough interest, then I would gladly put a carton order in and get it shipped over from Japan on the slow boat if there's enough interest. But as a stock item, I don't think so, because I think we'll be just sat on them for ever and a day. But yeah, all the Japanese planes are special order. You know, which is really, really odd. I can't quite get my head around it from a Hobbyco's point of view, but must know the market, so I trust them.
Rascal was saying, if more people collected and didn't build, doesn't that make it really difficult for the ones who do build? Yeah, but then it makes the kits cheaper for you, because if it was only the people who built, kits would cost a lot more because it wouldn't sell as many. So look at it from the bigger picture almost. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's set in the stash, it's just selling units. So if the manufacturer knows he's going to sell, say, 10,000 kits of a particular type, rather than 5, obviously the unit cost will come down for you. So in some ways, it's a good thing people will collect it. What program do you guys use to have multiple people on the screen at once? Take your pick. We're running about 3 to make this work. XSplit, Skype, and another thing for the soundy bit. So, yes.
We did used to use Hangouts, didn't we, before this stopped?
Well, they stopped doing it. That was it. We used to use Google Hangouts all the time. And it used to work quite well, wasn't it? But they stopped it now. But I've got, to be honest, it's actually 2 computers running this. We have a computer doing this bit, and I've got a separate one just down in here. So one does the stream, one of them's doing everything else. So it's a bit heavy-duty work on it all. But it seems to work, and in fact, working very well at the moment. There we go, probably jinxed it now.
The better option goes AMD and gets rid of Intel.
Can't do that. I'm not moving from the master race. I'm telling you, you can't make me do it, Andy. You red commie. Right. Okay. AK and MiG are almost the same stuff. Literally same recipe, different. Do you know what? It's funny how people say that. It comes up all the time that it's just on the same thing, but there can only be so many places that make paint. But if that's the place that physically manufactures the paint, what comes out of it might be different. It's the old fish finger thing, as I call it. It's probably the same factory that makes fish fingers, but they also make them for Waitrose, Tesco's, and Aldi. So it's a different product that's coming out at the end, even if they are made in the same price. So, and again, it's no different from my sanders to other people's sanders and things like that. It depends on what you're having made for you in that said factory. So I'm sure they all roughly come out of the same factory, and they've all got to roughly be doing the same thing. It's just that obviously there might be difference in quality, difference in what they are for the final thing. So one of those things, isn't it?
There's a lot of variables with paint, isn't there? Let's be honest. As in, you know, your formulations for your own colours as well, and little things like that. So, yeah.
It's one of those weird things. You often, you know, because we often say about, like with guns and Tamiya, very, very similar products, obviously, but there's different things into them completely. But do those come out of the same factory? How many paint manufacturers are there in Japan making that type of thing? Again, it's that weird thing. So who knows?
I don't know. It'd be nice to, nice bit of information.
The customer can put their own recipe and formulation to the paint maker, can't they? And
yeah.
it will be different, although the same. Although it might be I mean, the other thing is there might be like one bottle manufacturer, then 3 or 4 different paint manufacturers.
Yeah, could
The
be.
bottle could be a bit of a red herring, couldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I've got to ask, because I know you've probably been asked, Nave, but whose kit are you building? What make is it?
This is the Aoshima. Let me go.
Oh, Aoshima. Cool.
1700 Yamato or Yamato. I don't know if it's tomato.
Yeah. Where did you get that from?
I've had this for I started it last Christmas.
Right.
When I went to Wales with no internet, I thought, right, I'll start that at Christmas. And it got put to one side. I've had it for ages. I think I bought this in Chester, of all places.
Okay.
I just thought, while I'm sitting fiddling, I can't really do much spraying at the moment, so I thought I'll just start gluing tiny bits of plastic together.
All right.
And it is a lot of tiny bits of plastic. Nuts, this kit.
John's on research, look, he's pulling a kit out of his stash.
Oh, look out. You've got a question coming, is he?
He's got Trumpy MiG-21 MF.
Robbie's asking, is this any good?
But it's better than the old Ravel one.
I've got one of them. I think it's quite good, isn't it?
What, that kit?
Yeah, I've got
that's all right, that is. That MiG-21, yeah.
It looks nicely detailed.
Yeah.
I've got an absolute
Say how much aftermarket you got for that?
ton of aftermarket that came with it. Because I actually won this.
Yes.
Did I win this on an auction? I can't remember now where I got this from.
I don't know. Now you've said that, I don't know where you got it from.
So I don't think I bought all the aftermarket. It came with it, but it's a big old lump. But it looks very nicely detailed.
I got bought one of those for my 40th birthday, and 1 year later, I've still got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Alex says, question, I'm making the NHS spit and have masked and painted the underside with the thank you to the NHS. Do you think it should do it in flight or on the ground? In flight on its side, so you can see it. Because if it's on the ground, you're not going to see it really, are you? Unless you're going to put it on a mirror, then it'd be back to front. So...
When he said NHS spit, I thought, what they done to him?
Made him cough. Yeah. But yes, I would say if you did it on slightly at an angle as well, so you could read it. Very nice in the old PR blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very nice indeed. Tony Jewell. So Nate, are you putting photo H on the rigging it and all the rest of it? Photo H railings and
I'm not going to do the railings because
doing
I
a
think
deck, wooden deck, teak deck.
plastic deck.
Figures.
Yeah,
No.
figures, full crew.
I'm painting them for
do
you.
all the sort of radio wiry things, but I did think about getting the railings, and then I thought,
Does somebody do an expert for that?
Yeah.
Who does it?
I think the company do it themselves.
Right.
And I looked at it and I thought, it would look nice with railings on it, but then you have to put railings around all the guns. I was like, no. So I think I'll just build it literally out of the box.
There's a kit coming out in 72nd of the main gun of the Bismarck, isn't there? One of the main guns of the Bismarck.
Yeah. It's just that I've never built a ship.
I'll tell you what, that does look cool. Matt showed me the photo of that, and it does look cool, though. Just the main gun off the Bismarck on its own.
Because they do the Yamato and the Bismarck, I think. They've got the Bismarck one as well. It's got a name. I can't think of the name. Somebody will put it in chat. But I think, is it Tackham doing it? Could be Tackham. But yeah, that does look something different. Especially as we've got the seafaring, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. You could do it for that one.
Jibby
Didn't
jobby.
they take one of the Bismarck's type turrets, or not take the turret, but the design of it, and they used it land-based as well?
What, in Normandy, somewhere like that? They
Well, was it, or somewhere or other? I think it was a bit further around, wasn't it? But I'm sure they had the turrets for it. It was the same turret, but they land-based it for a coastal defence gun or something.
Yeah, could have.
It would make a good coastal defence gun. I mean, that's basically what Singapore had, wasn't it? Loads of massive ship guns, all pointing the wrong way. The layer.
You remember Nigel was talking last night's show about doing the 1/24 scale Airfix Spitfire?
Yeah.
And we all said don't. Anyway, he's saying it's just turned up, and in fact, it's a BF 109 and the aftermarket that can turn it into a Spitfire. Laugh out loud.
A lot of aftermarket.
Yeah, bit of milliput and a bit of carving.
Yeah, a lot of milliput. Yeah, get carving with that.
There is actually some stuff for the 109. They could get barrels and seat belts and instrument panel, I think, because I looked for that one that I got a few made for you gave me, should I say.
Yeah. There's bits and pieces out there for it.
Yeah.
I reckon it's a good bit. If you like sanding and filling, you'll enjoy it. But if you hate that sort of construction modelling, I don't think it's a kit that you'll enjoy much. But I quite like those sort of builds, but it is a long project, I think. It's not going to go together like the Tamiya 32 scale spit, is it?
He says he likes that, but all he's done is moan about the filling and sanding on his Pembroke.
Well, that's the contradiction that is happening. I think the thing with the Pembroke is I've got like a time sort of pressure on it because it's for a SIG, so I've got to build it and finish it.
Nigel says they did take a battleship turret and try to make a tank out of it. We've seen that, haven't we?
Yeah, it's for sale. It's for sale in our specials bit. It's the Shaw tank.
They've got one down at the Tank Museum, haven't they?
I don't know.
In the reserve collection.
Is there?
I'm sure. Yeah, you know when we went down many years ago and had a look at the reserve collection?
To be fair, mate, I had a really kicking hangover and I couldn't remember much of.
To be honest, we were all extremely hungover that morning. Whoever's bright idea was it to meet there at 10 in the morning after a skimpool the night before, it was probably mine, didn't think it through very clearly.
No. I can't remember that, John. I've got to say, I can remember Fury being there and we couldn't see it, go near it, open, look in its direction.
Yeah, we were told you haven't seen this. Because it was before the film and all the rest of it, wasn't it?
It was a bit of Jedi mind power.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, look away.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Oh dear. Anyway, the guys talking in here about the chat. Apparently, there's one in Norway. It's got the 16-inch guns, which are the shipborne ones. But also, apparently, there is one down in Normandy. Norway. They are the land-based one. But apparently, down in here, they used an unused 15-inch gun from, and I can't even pronounce what that is, as a battery gun, obviously huge. And then Peter was saying that the design to have 15-inch guns, but it was rushed into service, ended up with 11-inch guns. So the 15-inch guns ended up in Norway on that battery. There we go.
Right. Were they Rheinmetall or Krupp guns? Do you know?
Is this because the Germans gave up on having surface navy?
Yes.
Had all these guns floating around with nothing to do with them.
Definitely.
They were a bit limited, really, with how they could get out to sea, though, weren't they, at one point? Obviously, from Germany itself. Obviously, when they were in Norway, stuff's a bit different, but yeah.
Yes, definitely. It's a bit one-sided. Pin them in.
Well, basically, yeah.
They picked a fight with the Royal Navy, didn't they?
What's scratching? Is that Andy scratching?
Is he still scratching away, trying to make his chipping work, is he?
I don't know what he's doing.
Right, show us on your overhead. Let's have a look. They're whittling away.
Is there anything left on the top plate there?
It hasn't improved it.
It has improved now. So, no. Fair, I could have done. I know it looked like I'd done a lot of silver beforehand, but now I'm doing it. You can't see much silver.
I quite like that nice wall. Look good on
I like everyone from our chat room. The Flory chat is now just racked up in YouTube chat. Hello, Dennis. And we got Roscoe as well. See, this is the trouble with using YouTube though, because everyone's under weirdo names in here, and I don't know who anyone is. But obviously in our chat, I know exactly who everyone is.
Yeah.
Hello to Emma from the Netherlands.
Hello.
Hello.
Brett's in, because I know Brett, because he's easy with high altitude hobbies. Brett is our US distributor for all your Flory models here, so save yourself a fortune on postage. Get it from him.
Do you know the guns in Navarone film? What guns
Yeah.
were they? Were they real?
What, in Greece, weren't that? Was that Greece they were
Yeah.
supposed to be? Was it around there?
Was it Greece or North Africa somewhere?
Greece, I think, wasn't it? I don't. It's a long time since I've seen that film.
Were they naval guns?
Yes.
All right, Robert, we let you off. You're the only one without a weirdo name.
Yes, I think it was Nave.
John can't be John because you're known as Winnebago John, so you're not allowed to be your normal name.
No chance. We not know who you are.
They're in Greece. I think it's okay. Real, must be naval guns.
Right. I'll tell you what I'll do while we're sat here. I'm going to just assemble a few more of these through tracks before I do my demo. So I'll put my overhead on and
We can watch you build tracks.
you can watch me build tracks. Get to use the new super duper tool up.
What, that's available?
Yeah.
We all
One of
like
them.
that.
Here we go.
That'll be USB charging one.
Yep. Great bit of kit.
It is.
Really is.
Navarone with rail guns.
With the railguns was there. I thought they were in a cave. Were they that way?
Yeah, I thought it was an overhang, wasn't it?
Yeah, in a cave.
In a cave type thing, yeah. They couldn't bomb it from the air. Not that they'd ever bloody hit it, but hello.
It was hard work getting them in the mountain.
Wasn't it
Yeah,
all
apparently it was
snowy?
in Greece.
Greece, wasn't it?
You could do, actually, do you know, when we're doing the Anzac SIG, I think lots of Australians and New Zealanders fought in Greece, you know. There's loads of World War II stuff for that SIG.
I remember going to Crete as a kid, and we went on like a guided tour type thing, and they were going through where all the battles was. You got all the bullet holes still in all the rocks and everything. And I was absolutely fascinated, like as a 7-year-old. And then my dad, God rest his soul, took us for a walk, and we ended up on a nudist beach. I swear to God he knew all along, but that's not what he told me, Mum.
Bottom part of your young education.
Yes, that's it. It was, which is funny enough, was used in that film. There was a famous World War II film, and they filmed it on this thing because it's got quite a famous sort of covered area, and it was in this film as well. And it turns out it was on a nudist beach. Anyway, that's enough of my misguided youth.
Yeah.
Very good. So Matt's drilling out his swath from his pins. So
Yeah.
you can easily join it.
And this stuff makes just proper light work of it.
Hmm.
You can whip through them and probably do a set of tracks in like an hour, which is, you know, if you're doing it with a pin vise, trust me, your fingers are sore.
Yeah.
So,
And it's nice and quiet because you can hardly hear it. It doesn't even sound like you've got it on.
no. And I mean, with it being adjustable as well, you can, you know, whiz it up. Yeah, look, or if you can hear that. But yeah, it's cracking bit of kit, really, for the money.
Gordon says, are we getting demos later or 2 hours of alcohol-fueled nonsense?
Now we've got
Probably
quiz.
the latter. Yeah, it's quiz night tonight.
Quiz night.
Oh, James has said the Guns of Navarone does not actually exist.
How dare he? You can't
No,
say
it's
that.
that Alistair MacLean novel, wasn't it?
It's got a real historical context. I can't pronounce the something campaign. The Allies campaigned to take the Italian-held Greek islands in the Aegean Sea.
Yeah, what Nathan's just said.
To be honest, Matt has going against the grain by having a blue cutting mat. I've got blue cutting mats as well, but it doesn't work very well with my camera setup. And Firefox says, have you abandoned your Proxon mat? Yeah, he's joined the light. Don't need cables.
No.
We will not be tethered.
Yeah. To be fair, the Proxon I've still got. I still like my Proxon, but this is, for just doing these little jobs. This is just so light and nice to use without, like Phil said, without a cable hanging off the back of it. So no, I've not completely abandoned the Proxon, but I do like this bit of kit. I'll be honest.
Plus, you sell them in the shop.
Well, yes. If I was that cynical, John, yes.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Yeah, to be fair though, you have to put them through a proper test before you're stocking stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, Phil's had a good go with one, hasn't he? So.
Well, I've only had to charge it now twice in just over 2 weeks, and I've been using it all the time. So I have to say, I have done a full review video. I did a review video of the unboxing of what it works, what you can fit in it, and everything. And then I did used it for about a week. Then I did a follow-up. And then I need to do another one now because we've sort of agreed to what we have now. We've got them in stock now. But I said I wouldn't do a thing of it until I tried to kill it.
Yeah, well, that's it. If it didn't last very long, it'd be pointless getting them in, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So.
But the thing I like about it, it's got a proper chuck instead of having like a collet.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing 4 tracks without a tool like that. So I've got a pin vise, it'd take me about a week, wouldn't it?
Oh, I've done it with a pin vise, and God, it's soul destroying. I think it's the word, is it? I say your fingers get proper sore.
Yeah, you get that sort of repetitive strain, don't you, with the pin vise?
Yeah.
My shopping list, what are them little gadgets, you think?
I mean,
may I ask what kind of paints for airbrushing? Advice for beginners. Now I use Revel Aqua Color with mixed results.
Yeah, I bet. I think I'd
to be
get
honest, Emma, if you can get Aqua Color to spray, you're a better person than me. To be honest, I think one of the guys said a little bit further down, Tamiya, to start with, great. It's very, very straightforward, very, very easy. If you use their own thinners as well, 50-50 mix, you really can't go wrong with it. So it's a nice, good coverage, pretty stable, and go through. So if you have a look on the site, hold on, Matt, you're going to get somewhat shrunk. But here in the tutorial section on the main site, if you go into here into airbrushing, we've got one of these. Oh, that's tools and equipment. Which one's airbrushing? There we go. Into airbrushing in here. There's loads of videos I've done, basics about airbrushing, and they are really, really basic as well, right the way through to the airbrushing live series that I did a couple of years ago. So these are all done live, real time, like doing this type of show, but they're the recordings from it about airbrushing right the way through as well. And have a look at those, because hopefully you'll pick up a couple of tips and tricks, like not worrying about thinners, not worrying about air pressures, and listening to your airbrush for the type of results you get, which as soon as you get into your head how that works, it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. So that'll do for that little run of tracks, I think. So there we go. We've got a few tracks that we can do a bit of a...
There you go.
So they're Panther, my leftover Panther track from that build. So... So there is a procedure to this, okay, which I can't do here because you should really clean and wash them because of the residue, what you get from the moulding process, but I'm going to kind of skip that bit. So if you see some clean parts, you know why it's not worked. But the trick is really you should go and clean and wash them, make sure that all the grease and, like I say, release agents is off. So next step is, let's just put these back in the box.
So just out of interest, just recapping, because Gordon is asking, these are Thrall tracks, which are white metal tracks.
These are these, look. These are white metal tracks. These do them. Who else make them?
What's that company I used?
Oh God.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, model. No. Oh God.
Casters or something.
Master
I've got some somewhere. Master
somebody or other. They're really good because there's no cleanup required. They are perfect as they are.
I might have some here. I've got some here. Hey. There we go. They're Master Club.
That's it, Master Club. I tell you what, excellent. Use them, and there's zero cleanup.
No, these are proper nice little tracks. I mean, these are for a off track, so they're small. But yeah, Master tracks are like Phil says. There's no cleanup. These have got a bit of flash on them. You have to drill the holes, and there is a bit of prep work before you can put them together. I mean, they're still brilliant. But yeah, they are fab tracks.
So they come with pre-cut wires as well.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you get the pins. You get the proper pins.
Yeah, the proper pins that go through. They're domed on one end, so they push right in, and then you don't have to worry about them. You just literally push them in, and they sort of self-wedge in there. It's great.
Well, with the Master Club ones, used to be resin. Originally they were resin tracks, but obviously resin's can be quite fragile, and I presume it's the we've seen him at Eindhoven, didn't we? The guy that
yeah,
because they come out of Russia, don't they? And I think I bought them ones from the Southern Model Show either last year or the year before. I was talking to the guy who was selling them, and he says, yeah, he was asked to change them to white metal because it's more durable. So that's why it's the resin ones. But anyway.
Hold on, Matt. These are them here. This is the ones. And again, you can see the little area because they've got individual rubber bricks that fit in.
Yeah.
And they literally just pop in, but they are so clean. I thought you were going to have to clean them up. And they go together instantly. And there they are with all the little pads in. And you literally just push the pads in and they self-hold. And you can see there, I'm just about to stick the link pin in. To link them in, but they're domed at one end as well, so you just literally push them in and that's it. They are very, very straightforward. Highly recommended.
That's off the Chieftain, isn't it?
That's why I did the Chieftain, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yes, mate.
Just a quickie for you to check on the site. Is the Trumpeter Scraper 09976 really £749?
Yes, it is.
It's limited edition.
Depends how many wants to buy.
How the hell do you end up with that?
Oh, that's proper random.
Cheap at half the price.
So we'll move along. We've got our burnishing fluid and we have an old toothbrush.
Yes.
Now there's a couple of ways of doing these tracks. You can I'll just use that as an example. Some people just decant this stuff into a tray, a pot, and just do that, dump them in, which works, and leave them. I now seen a way of doing it with a toothbrush, where literally you just dip the toothbrush in and scrub away, and it would do the same job, and waste less fluid.
Yes.
That's I say it so.
David's asking at 749, do you get free shipping to the States?
No.
What code is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Just 09976.
Just another tip: if you are using full tracks, they are handed. They come in 2 separate bags. And as you can see, if you can see on my camera, one side where the pins go or the wire is solid. Do not drill all the way through. Leave that one as is, because then that will tell you which side fits which side of the tank.
It's okay. Matt doesn't need safety glasses because he wears glasses.
Let me just interrupt you, Matt. So, according to the screen, John, it's £12.99.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is what David just asked.
So I'm going to put my rubber gloves on. My disposable gloves.
Safety apron.
Well, yeah, I might do actually. I don't want to splash it on my Flory PM top. No, it should be all right. But yeah, it is a mild form of acid. So you can see this, yeah? You've got this on camera.
Yeah.
So basically, dip your toothbrush in and basically just scrub it on. And as you can see straight away, look, you're going to get the effect, and then just
God, it works quick, doesn't it?
yeah, white metal's soft because it's soft. There you go, look. And obviously, if this was clean, if I'd pre-cleaned it, because you do get some clean patches, look, where it's not taking, but yeah, it does work literally that fast, as you can see. So, yeah, if you bend the links as well or roll them up, you can get in between the bits.
So yeah, it's gum bluing. Basically, yeah, it's the same process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you do, it's a mild acid etch, and it's just attacking the surface.
So there you go. Look, you can literally see it before your eyes. Just change the colour on the inside.
Just stick your hand out a minute. It's having trouble focusing on you. That's it. There you go.
Is that all right? There you go.
Yeah,
look.
there you go.
And obviously, like I say, there are some clean patches, but that's because I've not cleaned them properly before. But you can, you know, once you start weathering as well, putting your mud on, your washers and whatever, that'll, you know, you can disguise it anyway if it's still a bit shiny. But it is literally as simple as that.
Yeah, Dennis, sorry, not Dennis, Gordon, yeah, the whole point of this is that you're doing it so you don't paint it, because it's got a proper natural metal rusty colour now, rather than having to paint it that colour. So, you know, there's two ways of doing it. You can either paint it this colour and away you go, or you can literally acid etch it to give you that look. There
you go, I'll show you the other way. So I've just decanted it into that, and you can just literally just
dunk it in.
Dunk it in. Obviously, it's easier if you've got a full length of tracks. It can be a bit more, you know, awkward. But yeah, there you go.
Because the way I used to do it is that if I used to have like a sealed lunchbox container, you put in a little bit at the bottom of your lunchbox, chuck the entire track in and shake it.
Yeah.
To make sure it's all covered, and then whip it out straight away. But there you go. You can see it's going off completely now.
There you go. It can go with. I think we're using this. You've got a bit more control of how.
Yeah, I must admit, I've never tried brushing it like that. That's new to me.
Yeah. I've got to thank Mr. Martin Kovac off YouTube, to be honest, because that's where I've seen the idea from. So I can't take the idea, but yeah, it just seems more controlled way of doing it instead of just dunking them.
Because it is. The trouble is, if you dunk it and you leave it in too long.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, look what it's doing to me pot.
Yeah.
It's literally stripped the thing off it, so wreck my pot. Yeah, do it in a plastic tub.
So would you wash that now, Matt? Or
well, you just the track?
Yeah.
No, I'd just take a bit of like paper towel and just soak it up and let it dry naturally.
Right. Because obviously, while it's still wet, it's still
still working. Yeah.
Yeah. You can you know, and the best thing is if I can get it dry, I'll show you what you can do, which is a brilliant trick for obviously tracks that are running over hard ground. Is literally just on the high spots.
Yeah.
To do it, but you get a really nice then warm metal effect. I'll just take a sanding stick. I don't know if this will work because it's still a bit wet, but obviously bend it like that. There you go.
Yeah, up a bit. Can't see. There you go.
There you go. Sorry. And then literally just run a sanding stick or something abrasive, and then you get nice warm cleats. It's the word, is it not?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
I presume you can do the thing with the guide ones as well inside, you know, like so where the, you know, if you've got a skinny stick or something, you know, where the road wheels run.
Yeah.
You can you know, give them a, like the road wheels have wore them as well. So yeah, quick and easy technique to weather, you know, to start your weathering process on tracks.
Yes.
That's what that is. Yeah.
Very nice. Because I must admit, I'm a little bit like Andy. What I used to do with my tracks is dip them in a pot, give it a shake in an old lunchbox type thing, and then all over it. Then I used to take it out and then run it under the tap.
Yeah.
To neutralise it, and then to be honest, give it a dab with paper towel and everything, let it totally dry, and then carry on with the weathering from it. So, because I always was a little bit worried about leaving it wet, if you know what I mean.
Well, the thing is, when I first started using it, before seeing that way of doing it, I was like you. I'd pour this into like a plastic, say, takeaway tub, fill my tracks up, dump them in, and then chuck this away. And this is really, you can use this a few times before it starts to go off. And this way, obviously, you see how much has been used, look. It's not really a lot. And I've done a couple of sets of tracks.
Yeah.
So you get a bit more cost effective as well doing it this way. So, anyway, yeah, look, that's helped people out one way or another.
Well done, Charles. Very good.
Thanks.
Excellent stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Funko. Thing is, I don't think it's so much Matt's computer, it's his internet connection where he lives as well, isn't the sharpest tool in the box, shall we say?
I tell you what,
Not
we're going
exactly
off.
cutting edge.
I spoke to Lester about it. We're going to change because we're on Sky and it's rubbish. Sky internet's crap. We're going to change to somebody else and get a new provider.
Do you want to take a photo of that, Matt, and then I'll show it on screen?
Yeah, can do. Let me just.
James has said, does it work with brass gun barrels, Matt? No, it won't work with brass.
No.
It's going to be...
No, different metal
The
completely.
thing is, white metal, by its nature, is really soft, and it eats into it. If you try it with a hard metal, not a lot happens either, because it's a soft.
Yeah.
product.
Let me just pack up.
David's asking, is it smelly?
No, it's not actually. No.
Does it smell of vinegar?
If it did, do you think I'd be here without a mask on? So no. I don't know if hey, just out of a few things here, I don't know if Coca-Cola full fat does the same thing.
It
I
might do,
think
but
that's
slower.
a bit of a, I think years ago that's what we used to say, wasn't it? You'd use full fat Coke and just leave it in overnight.
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing that can dissolve a penny after so many days or something?
We used to get sulfuric acid at work and put a Coke can into it, and then the next day you'd come back and the can's completely gone, but the plastic lining in the can Coke would be there. So you'd have a perfect liner where it had eaten all the alley around it and just left the plastic.
No way. That sounds so cool.
Is that your TFR spray?
No, that was literally like sulfuric acid we used to use in alley wheels.
All right, yeah, I'm with you.
Dave said if it smells like vinegar, maybe you can use it on fish and chips. I think it might do your stomach a bit.
I
of
wouldn't
Tell you
eat
what.
it.
Hey, what time is it? Oh, nearly chip time. Nearly
Chip
chippy
time.
Got an hour yet?
Ah,
I
well.
would have to go. I wouldn't like to go to A&E and explain that I've been drinking this little bottle of stuff.
Right, I'll send you both pics now.
I've done a bit more chipping on my aircraft. I was going to a thing. Do you, Phil?
Look, apparently, hold on, Airfix are doing a stream with their design manager at 5:30 on their YouTube channel.
Ooh, new kit release. That'll be the 72 Tornado. That
Not as good as when we have our Pranjit on, is it? Right. Oh, look, there we go. Multiple colour chipping.
Is it focusing?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks well cool.
So that's fair. That was now going back to it. That was the one where it came off too much, but that probably works better because you can see the silver better. Whereas that one, I didn't take as much silver off, so you don't really see the silver as much. So
Right.
I don't know.
I think you could carry on with that project as a bit of a derelict one because
I
that
think
does
you
look
could,
real.
you could have that as a nice little diorama, couldn't you?
It
You
does
could
look
do
like a really war-beaten Pacific fighter.
Hey, you could do a homage to Jamie.
Yeah, but I can't do that. That's the wrong colours, isn't it? It needs to be the zinc chrome.
It's never stopped you before.
Oh, it said remake.
And that's grey, and that's blue.
Gosh.
Yeah. I'll take photos of that as well, Phil, and send it.
Alan's asking about optivisors
Yeah,
and what we use.
hold on. I've got a what they called here because I've got two. I've got one at work. This one's a Donegan, is it?
Donegan,
Yeah.
yeah.
A Donegan special, but I've actually bought a similar looking thing off Amazon for half the money, and it's actually really quite good.
Is it?
That's the work one, yeah, and you get different lenses with that as well.
All right. Are they still glass ones or are they plastic?
I don't know with that. being here, but they work all right, fine. Very similar to this one.
We need to chip together and get Phil a proper one, don't we?
Excuse me, I like mine because I can do this. Because I can actually see through mine. Because I look over it, I look under it, I look round it. And when I need it, I can see it in the middle. So I'm all right. I actually do quite like this one.
Yeah, you ought to see the mess it's made in my pot.
Is it eating your pot? It's like alien blood.
I tell you, proper.
It's going to pick it up and it'll be hollow.
Proper.
Yeah, I just use one of these ones off of the old interweb that seems to be advertised everywhere recently. I don't know why.
It will do tomorrow when it finds all holes in his PM hoodie.
It's hot.
Right, that will.
Nigel's asking, he's building a Royal Flying Corps SE5A and wondering what the best colour is for the natural linen underside.
I think you just sail colour, which is good, isn't there? Mr. Hobby or Aqueous do a sail colour.
To be honest, I quite like using deck tan, wasn't it? XO55.
Yeah, deck tan's another good one.
C45.
I use deck tan for my linen. Oh, I use just basically a random beige colour if I'm honest. Guns do one, don't they?
Yeah.
The one I used on mine.
Yeah.
So that's just deck tan under there. I've always quite liked it because you can lighten it and darken it to give it that sort of translucent effect.
So really you want a light beige, don't you? An
Yeah.
off-whitey beige.
Yes.
Use some nice weathering as well with that.
Sorry, Dave, especially if you mask the ribs out and do them different colour, because you can make it look translucent, can't you?
Yeah.
And remember, they used to use them on like just grass strips, didn't they? So there'd be nice splats and weathering and dust and all sorts on the.
Oh, God, they'd be filthy underneath. Yeah, definite.
And we have got the cast oil leaks and all sorts going on. So you can proper play around with that.
Yeah.
David says Hago would regard all over silver and no top coat as mild chipping.
That's funny, though. I reckon you should definitely do your next aircraft like that, though, Andy. Like, properly.
Chris said, no offence, Matt, but check out Night Shift channel on YouTube for tracks. Where do you think he gets all his ideas from?
Yeah, I'll admit it. That's exactly where I got that from. I do watch him. I'm a big fan of Martin Kovac and his techniques on his Night Shift channels. Yeah, top modeler. Very. He's brilliant, and his vids are funny. He's good. He's really.
How did Telford become the biggest modelling show in the world? And is Britain the country with the biggest quantity of modellers? Did the hobby start in the UK?
I've no idea.
Japan, I would say Japan's probably got the
Japan
biggest.
started it, wasn't it, with that sort
Plastic
of
hobby.
genre, and they definitely embraced it, didn't they? Post-war.
Yeah.
I think we've always been scale model making since like the year
Since
dot.
we were whittling things out of wood.
Yeah, basically, yeah, or stone.
Or stone. Out of granite.
Yeah.
Well, the modelling scene in Japan's massive, though, isn't it? But it's sort of
Yeah.
like different genres to what we.
But it was in Britain where the IPMS started up, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, IPMS is originally from here.
Yeah, 1963, wasn't it?
Yeah. Don't give too much away about the IPMS. It's in the pub quiz questions.
Oh, is it? Yeah, shush now. Don't mention it.
Move on.
What's the easiest way to get tabby and masking tape residue off guns paint?
Jab at it.
This. Wait. You want something like a odorless thinner,
Yeah,
just to
you
break
want a
down the glue.
mild enamel thinners.
Mild enamel thinner, yeah.
I mean, is scale modelling more popular in Japan? I don't know.
You're the only one out of us lot
Tell
who's
you
actually
what.
been to Japan.
Japan seems to have more scale model shops.
Yeah.
It is definitely a massive hobby out there. So per head of population, I wouldn't like to say. I think maybe Americans feel scale modelling's not as popular because they're all further away from each other, aren't they?
I think that's the thing where people often talk about the US nationals are bigger than ours. Clearly they're not. But the thing is, they've got a wider demographic. So to get people together is horrendous because obviously you're traveling state to state, different time zones even, and stuff like that. So I don't think it'd ever be like, from our point of view, the UK, let's face it, no matter where you live, you're only, a maximum of 3.5, 4 hours from Telford for a drive.
I mean, if I drive 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I can go to loads of model shows in a year. Obviously not at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite lucky. I live pretty much right in the middle of England, really. Don't know if obviously to one side, but
I live in the middle of England, pretty much.
I mean,
you do, actually.
Does.
Yeah.
I was looking on the weather map the other day, and I said, "Look, there's Donny, the big cloud over it."
Yeah.
And it is. You are literally right in the middle of the country. If you're going to go from Scotland to down, it's like, there it is.
Well, that's the A1, isn't it? The A1 runs straight through Donny, so that was the main sort of road from London up to Scotland, isn't it? Really, before the M1 and all the others. So, yeah, it is pretty central.
Chris has made a good point.
What year did the Airfix start?
Don't answer that question. That's in
Shut
the
up,
Shush now, John.
Oh,
Shut up,
okay.
John. Mute him.
Get him. Shut up.
Everyone's going to look that up now for the quiz tonight.
Chris has brought something up that like modelling's a bit nerdy in the States and it is in the UK, and that's the difference with Japan. It's like nerdiness is more admired in Japan, I think. I think they call it otaku or something. There's a name for it.
Yeah, I think also with Japan, it's one of those things where it's more traditional to pass down the skills.
Yeah.
Where in the UK, it's not. Especially now, you have a PlayStation, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Japan and modern as well. They're massive, like Gundam, anime, that sort of stuff as well, isn't it?
But can I just say, there's now becoming a massive crossover over here because of wargaming.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less nerdy than it used to be because of wargaming, World of Tanks, obviously the Warhammer and all that sort of genre, because they are now model kits. Where there used to be white metal figures back in the White Dwarf days of the thingy shop, what was it called? Games Workshop. They're now plastic kits, so you've got to be able to build them.
How can you talk about wargaming and computer gaming and then say that they're not nerdy?
See, I don't think when we were young, computer gaming was quite nerdy, but so many people do like FIFA and stuff that it's not.
I don't think computer gaming has been nerdy.
It's a professional sport now, esports.
But when we used to type it up on, you used to get your Amstrad, you had to type in all the code to get the games and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think nerdy hobbies have had a bit of a renaissance, be it sewing or craft or anything that.
Yeah, I think this year, yeah.
Can I just have an argument about that? It's skilled hobbies. It's not nerdy. It's skilled. You've got to have a bit of something about it, be able to learn to do it. So
it's a bit like that thing, isn't it? Is darts technically a sport
or a pastime?
Because technically they're an athlete to play darts.
Well, don't you think that's like archery then?
Well, yeah, especially if you're crossbow, you're not even pulling it.
David says that in the States, scale modelling is still considered a hobby for little kids. Then Ed said the average age of the modeler in the US is 55.
There you go.
No, it is, and that's true, because our beginning of the year, I did various bits and pieces on the site. The demographic of the age of the modelers that we've had have been members of Flory Models over the last basically 20 years. And because we sort of had a bit of a milestone with 10,000 members, and it was that thing, and it came up with the average age demographic is literally 53 of a member, and that's how it was.
You think, right, now when we're at Telford and like people bring their families, say, and they've got younger kids, whether girls or boys, and they look round the tables, they've still got that, what we had when we were kids, to me. They still, whether it be something from something they recognise, obviously something from Star Wars, or obviously them Transformer kits are coming out, or wherever, something they can relate to. But a plane is still exciting to a kid.
Yes.
But it's just obviously like their parents have, it's missed their generation kind of thing, hasn't it? Or probably we're getting a bit older now, so it could be a couple. But do you know what I mean? So
Can I
unless
just
they're going to it through the wargaming side of it, if they do that, then it's something they'll pick up later in life if they're going to do it, isn't it? We did it as kids, and then obviously if we carried on or we dropped out in teenage years and 20s and then come back to it later on.
I think that's the thing where people have often said about this hobby is dying and it's not going to happen. But what happened was, I think computer games obviously a massive thing when I was growing up and getting into those and from that point onwards. But a lot of us did it as kids, stopped, got involved with, alcohol, the other sex and everything else like that. And then you come back to it again. And that's the thing. I think the trouble is, I don't think if you don't start with it, I don't think they're going to come back into it in the numbers that perhaps we did.
Can I just say, from Finger, we were sort of in our 20s in the 90s. There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on
to distract you from building a kit, shall we say?
There was more interesting things happening. I'd just like to point out, Tony has said in here, me and Phil live in the arse end of England. I resent that. I live almost in the English Riviera. You, Tony, live in the arse end of England. Tony's North Devon, I'm South Devon. So, yes.
Some would say that Nathan lives near the English Riviera, but... Can I just answer this question in a second? If I can find it. I've lost it now. What have you done with me? I was holding on to it for ages, waiting for you to...
Oh, yeah.
Basically, one of the guys says he likes to chip in. How would you go about doing it over decals? So you can't do it over decals. The easiest way of doing it would be to paint the decals. So, for example, the roundels that Phil's got on that very nice soft width camel that we can see. That way, yeah. Paint them, and then you can obviously chip them because it's just paint. Or if you want to do the same effect over decals, then you got to start going with using paints, using sponge effects or a brush to do the chipping. There's no other way of really doing it with decals.
So just going back a couple of steps here, it's quite interesting because the guys have been putting up their ages in the live chat. So 40s seems to be quite popular. But we have got some youngsters as well. I say youngsters, that sounds horrible. I hate it when people used to go, "Oh, you're a youngster." No, I'm 33, skit stuff. But no, it is. But it's really nice to see we have got younger people. And I say younger, it's only because I'm jealous because I'm getting near 50 now. So it's like, yeah. The bit where everyone's usually more younger than you, you're getting old. So yes, but no, that's good. It's good to see we have got some younger modelers down definitely in here as well.
So what's the sort of genre they do? Can they put it up in chat so we know what's their interests?
Yeah, what is your interests? Is it, obviously you get your categories of aircraft, armour, the civil side of it, like vehicle stuff like that. Is it, your manga, Gundam type stuff, sci-fi? Post up now. We'll take a demographic.
A lot of guys are posting in our chat how old they are.
Yeah, and you can't put up what age you think you still are. So saying you're 12 doesn't count, Richard. Otherwise, I'd be technically 7.
Forever.
So Lynn's just up the average.
He's a very young.
Yes.
72.
72.
Oh, Roger's 72 as well.
So right, here we go. So military aircraft. We've got classed as older as an insult. Again, I think it's one of those things. It's where you are, isn't it? Any genre except Gundam and ships. Mostly aircraft and armour. We've got British World War II aircraft and armour. We've got Sean, who's 25. 58 Battle of Britain planes and excess units. Fair enough. 44. I'm leaning more towards armour. Hides the mistakes. See, this is it.
Yeah.
Civil. By far, I think you're doing some older planes after this. Not into tanks and modern jets, I guess. It's funny how sometimes, though, like Matt's a classic. Matt used to do lots of aircraft. Now he's got into armour. Now he's got into his figure painting. But it's funny how your tastes change over the years as well.
All I ever used to build was German armour.
Mm.
That's literally it, German armour.
Yeah.
And now for aircraft.
Tony is ships, World War I aircraft and sci-fi. Just a quick one in amongst it all. What thinners would you use to get extra colour paints to dry?
Extra colour enamels.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's enamels, isn't it? So you're very limited. You could thin, though, with lacquer thinners, couldn't you?
Yeah, the
leveling thinners work, or rapid.
Yeah, rapid thinners work into that. It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, from the model shop shelf, you've got your rapid thinners, but then there's that rusting stuff you can get in the hardware store that I've not tried. But
it's a bit aggressive, that's the only trouble with that rusting stuff.
I mean, rapid thinner, and then 24 hours and it'll be dry. But extra colour, they are really slow drying paints, though.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of paint I remember having to paint. I used to spray them and put them under a sandwich box and leave them for like a week.
Yeah, that was me as well. I used to have a drying cupboard. Used to put them literally in the cupboard and leave them. A couple of other ones in here. 71 years young, absolutely. Sean said he was always embarrassed to be a modeller as a teen. Yeah, I can go along with that. It's not exactly good on your first date, is it? They say, "Oh, what'd you do for hobbies?"
I didn't do any modelling when I was in June.
Never seen again.
Yeah.
Robert saying Swedish Air Force 70s RAF, World War II RAF in 172nd. Cool. David's 51, collecting Tamiya 48 scale. Must have all of these kits. Oh, nice collection. Aircraft, armour, ships, railway stock and buildings. Cool.
Andy Manning says he'll model anything except ladies' underwear.
Nice, there's a thought. Rodney 45 doing military trucks. Lars 57 aircraft, 72nd 48th. Tony's 67. I'd say it's that sort of sweet spot seems to be around about the 50s, 60s, isn't it? Hi guys, I'm 53. Main interests are military. Favourite is being tanks and planes. What have we got? Ships mostly. 40. 27, building anything that I find interesting so far. That's probably the good one to do. Like we've always said about, people say about, I want to get into it, but I don't know what to build. We always say, build what really you're into. So if you've got a particular aircraft or armour or vehicle or whatever it might be, sci-fi, that you're interested in and that sparks your interest, build that, because it'll just makes it a lot easier to do.
Chris Robinson says, I also collect comics. Does that elevate my nerd status? If you included model train sets, then you'd be off the charts.
Yeah, that's it. You would be setting the bar high.
Or stamps.
Stamps, yeah.
Okay. Nerds should rule the world.
Do ladies who model fret over chipped nails? That's it. They'd be going, that's a good chipping effect. I can hear a lank flying overhead. Ooh, look, 4 Merlins together. I had that the other day, but different type of Merlins. They were Westland Merlins, 4 of them in a 4 ship. It's not often you get 4 together.
Well, didn't they fly this Saturday night, would you?
Well, it depends where he is in the world. He might be somewhere else. He might be in Canada.
Yeah,
That would be the only other place there'd be one flying, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Stephen says anything from World War II. Nigel saying aircraft, armour, sci-fi. Need filler. Planes, minis, and cars.
Simon says he plays Dungeons and Dragons. Is that worthy enough?
I used to do that.
Yes.
You know what? I did that when I was in my teens, and I didn't do modelling. That was more popular at uni. Like doing the fantasy game stuff was way more popular at uni than. So I kind of had a phase where I switched.
Can I just ask?
The odd Games Workshop bits and pieces lying around.
Can I just ask? I actually deciphered the rules of how to play one of them games because
we just got someone that was doing a degree in maths to do it for me.
Oh, there you go. That's handy. Get a mathematician in.
Yeah, we got someone who's cleverer than all of us put together. And
Speaking of which, though, we've got Paul here who says he got into wargaming from model making, and now he's a full-time wargaming sculptor.
There you go.
So there you go. It's good how you can turn your hobby into a career and back and forth. So technically, if you're like me, Paul, you've never worked a day in your life. Just
looking in chat for the ages people are giving and what they prefer. Mid-50s, well, early 50s probably, I'd say, is probably the average age, and aircraft.
Yeah.
We had this thing a couple of months ago, wasn't it, when people were asking, what are the demographics? And again, it's very difficult from a site point of view because no one lists what they are in the field. We've got ages, we've got where people live and various things of the membership, the actual subscribing members, and I can give you the averages from that. But where it is, and it's still that thing, though, where I think aircraft is still the majority of people because a lot of people who build aircraft still build a bit of everything else. But they'll usually list it as first, so that's why it sort of always becomes more. I think armour used to be a dark art. And going back, to be honest, to MiG, I think with MiG pushing his side of it and, you know, using media in that, armour's come a long way, probably thanks a lot to him. Because, again, it gave people a sort of, you know, well, I wonder if I could do that, and I'll try that with weathering for people who traditionally don't do armour and have gone into it that way as well. So, yeah. Definitely,
I think to be honest, going for the armour route, like I said before, I think it probably started with like Verlinden and the dioramas and them books that came out in like the late 80s and 90s. And then you got what was it, Bob Letterman, who used to do the massive dioramas. He used to they were just fantastic. He did some really like the proper super dioramas, I think there was. Again, that was then, and then obviously there was probably a bit of a gap in the 90s, and then perhaps early 2000s is when MiG came along. I think again that Spanish way of doing it, shall we say, because it's kind of their style, isn't it? I think they kind of started it with the heavy weathering, the heavy weathering and stuff. Because then, you know, if you look through it, it's a bit like proper traditional painting to me, because you've got like the Dutch have got their way of doing it, the Spanish, and then, you know, like different, you can tell with different styles from sort of different countries, if you know what I mean. It's a bit watered down now because of the internet, but before probably like social media and the internet, they did have definite sort of styles from different sort of countries.
Yes. Daryl says, I wonder if our female modeller's fingers look as rank as Phil Flory's. I resemble that remark. Totally. Many a time I go to the post office and look down at my nails, and where you've washed your hands, it's clean, apart from you've got black fingernails. Yeah. I'm sure they think I've had a dodgy weekend as my alter ego as Philippa or something. You know? It's like, no, it's not like that. Or you find yourself at the bank and you've got an appointment with the bank and that, and I'm in the waiting room chipping it off before I go in so I look half decent.
Yeah. John Phillip in chat says, in my early teens, I was touching a bit of everything, but before narrowing it down to planes. I'm surprised you can get arrested.
yeah, you don't be doing that.
So is it fair to say there's a gap of, there's not that many modelers in the 20s because they're too busy chasing the opposite
I was about to say, though, the other thing is, don't you think it's disposable income as well? And obviously that's quite limited in your 20s, your disposable income, because like you say, you
it all goes on Friday night, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And obviously a night out now, you know, who've been out, it's not cheap. You can, no, obviously we can't at the minute, but it's expensive for a night out. So I think that's why you probably get more when they've got families and settling down probably in the 30s, come back to it, I think, more. And then if they get hooked, then it's a rocky road, isn't it, Andy?
Well, then you get to the stage where you want to get out of the way, don't you? So you have your man cave.
Nathan.
I think it's funny how you get some people, though, and they have a little bit like me, a totally separate career before doing this. And it's like completely alien side of it. And that's the nice thing. And you get a lot of guys who, you know, it's a bit like, obviously, my other hobby is obviously flight sim. And I get pilots who do flight sim, and you think to yourself, why would you do that? Because you're doing it all day long, and then you're doing it for your hobby as well. Don't you have anything as a sort of a switch off? But modelling, like for me, obviously it's your hobby as well as your career, working your way through with it. And it's funny how sometimes you get people who come to the hobby very late, who have never done modelling before, but they'll see it because of things like Telford. You know, they've been to a show for whatever reason, or they've been on holiday and there's been a model show on and they've ended up in there. And you get people who you would think would never be it because they're not geeky, shall we say. And it's obviously seen as being a bit geeky doing modelling, but they've come from completely a different thing. You know, like I know of a brain surgeon who does this. And it's like, yeah, but he like enjoys all the little bits and stuff. And it's like you work on people's brains and sticking wires in their heads and everything. But it's what you do for a downtime, and it's what will make you relax. It's what chills you out. It's what you do for enjoyment, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
It's a nice distraction from busy working life, isn't it, for most people?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, as you say, with the hobby, you know, your hobby is what you enjoy doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
And for us, it's a bit of a social, isn't it, on a night time as well, when we're on.
Yeah, this
God.
is it. And to be honest, even doing something like this, the whole point of doing this one is that, okay, yeah, all right, we're flogging gear as well at the same time through the PM store and obviously flooring models. But at the end of the day, this is one of those things where we're not doing Telford yet. This would be our social event of the year. You know, because it'd be meeting all the members, it'd be obviously meeting new people, old friends we haven't seen for a long time, people in the industry. Because obviously from our point of view as well, it's like, you know, we've got all the usual people. We always have little cars next to us. We've got Vince from Models for Sale just up. We have our little clique, you know, of our area, which we always have a giggle with and all the rest of it. So, and, you know, it's quite nice seeing old friends like that every year we get together. Obviously, we see them at other shows as well and things like that. But the trouble is, normally you're really busy. But because it's technically a 3-day event for us, set up on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, you've got the quiet times in between it as well. We usually have a bit of a giggle and a get-together and everything, don't we? So, yeah.
Well, can I just say, you know, with what we're doing this weekend, thank God for the internet. Could you imagine 10 years ago if we'd have had a pandemic?
Yeah.
Would have been properly isolated. And I know, like, we, because the whole point was, like, obviously when you were doing it it was a very solitary, unless you were in a club, it's a very solitary hobby, innit? And now, obviously, with the, like you've said before, with the power of the internet, Facebook, social media, it's very community spirit has joined it, if that makes sense. And I think that's come like to do with it coming out of being a bit nerdy as well, because more people now can see it, and you know, it's out in the open.
Yes.
Before it's like we won't mention what we do for a hobby kind of scenario, but now it's not so bad, is it? But I mean, this is like you know, obviously the power of the internet and stuff. This is, you know.
Martin Jacobson says, Matt, do you still work on cars as a hobby? Yes, he does.
Yeah, I had a break. I did have a big break, and I said I weren't going to do it again. I've had enough. I've retired, and I've kindly, slowly come back in, and I actually find it now really relaxing.
He's doing it as a hobby for all those years of moaning about it.
Yeah, I'm doing. To be honest with you, I'm doing it at my pace, if that makes sense. I've got no pressure, so it's taken all that side of it off it, and it's actually very nice to do it, and I find it quite relaxing, to be honest now.
And so, Martin says, Phil, would you call building the Mac 2 kits downtime?
Again, I know sometimes I open my mouth. Well, all right, I open my mouth all the time without thinking. But again, it's one of those things. Sometimes when you tackle a kit, like I've said before, it's crap. It's horrible. No one should ever build it because it's just not fun. But the amount of satisfaction you've got, once you've got it into the overall shape, and you've cleaned it up and you're not getting cut on your hands anymore and all the rest of it, it's one of those things where it's a challenge that you've beaten, you've knocked it back, and actually it's not perfect. It will never win any competitions at the end of the day, but it looks good. Because it does. It's just one of those things. It looks right, it looks good. Even though it's probably misaligned, it's the wrong shape, it's got wrong bits all over it, it still looks like a VC10 from 6 foot away, and I'll take it. And that's the thing. So that's no different from when we did the bear last year. You know, we did that bear kit. Everybody, when I said I'm building that bloody great bear, everyone was like, you can't do that. It's awful kit. The engines don't fit. The wings don't go on. It's just, yeah, I know, but we're going to do it anyway. You know, because again, once you've got the filler into it and you've got it sanded and you've got it re-scribed a bit and we re-riveted it all and did all those things, I'm actually very happy. And it's funny because I've got the sort of, you know, the row here, so to speak, of kits that people have said it's awful, you don't want to do it. So we've got like the VC10, looks good there. The A10, which is the 32nd scale one that we did. Again, a lot of people said, oh, because it's very modular. And a lot of people warned me off because it's awful and it's early trumpeter and it doesn't go. I quite like it. It looks the part to me. The bear we said, the B17, if you'd heard what people were saying on the internet about that kit, you'd never build it. But I never had a problem with it. And it, to me, actually, it's one of my favourite aircraft. I think because it's in the metal and there's a lot of grey around it, it looks very nice hanging up there. And the B52, again, it was one of those that I made far too much work out of that. We tried to do stress skin and I was grinding it, I was filling it, we were sanding it, and I was making so much extra work for myself. But eventually it turned good and I'm happy with it. So again, it's one of those happy little accident type aircraft that work really, really well.
There's far worse jobs to be doing, isn't there, Phil?
Absolutely, yes.
And that's the way to look at it, really.
Yes.
We really are quite blessed with what we do, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Like I use this analogy. I've done it with my kids. It's like saying, it's not like digging a hole, though, is it? The bit where they're moaning about life and your kids, is it could be worse. You could be physically digging a hole, you know, in the shittiest weather, and it's raining, and you're digging a hole. You know that I've always said that. And so never moan about it. Things can always be a lot worse.
You've been there, done that, ain't you, Andy?
I've dug a few holes in the rain, yeah.
Absolutely. Andy knows
It's
what
better
we
probably
mean.
dig a hole in the rain than in the scorching heat. So
Yes.
yeah.
But say that's why I always say it's not like digging a hole, is it? So never moan about it. Just get on with it.
Yeah. Definitely. 10 minutes.
Yes.
GPT time.
GPT
But
time.
again, Nigel saying about his 24 scale Spitfire, just throw yourself into it and go in with it eyes wide open. It's not a good kit. It's not like a Tamiya AAA kit and it's perfect fitting and CAD. It's not. But as soon as you get past that, you think, actually, it's complete dog. It's a bit like when I did the VC10 and we cut the front off. It was one of those, I was looking at it for a couple of days, literally thinking, how are we going to do this? Because the front end isn't right. Are we just going to say, screw it, it doesn't matter, we'll pretend it's not happening? Or what we, and eventually I literally just took a hacksaw to it and cut the front of the model off. And it's now I've done it, I've got to fix it. So it's like, stuff it. So there we go, we're going to re-angle it, we're going to bring up the nose by like 7 degrees and we're going to do this. We'll slant the screen back and we'll go in and just fill it and do it. So lots of fun.
Bob says, "Hang on, I dig holes."
There you go, absolutely. But if that's what you do, then you needed something like this for a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you would probably do this as a hobby, isn't it? Because you're in the nice warm, you're enjoying it. You know, to be honest, we've all been there. That's the point.
And James says, "I see a ship in Nathan's hands. That was quick. It's not. He's been doing it about 3 years."
I built the hull before, but this superstructure, it's just amazing. It's like there's hundreds and hundreds of parts.
How big is it? How big's the hull?
It's about the length of your forearm.
Oh, it's actually bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bigger than I thought it was going to be, but it's a big ship in real life, though, isn't
It was the biggest ship in the world at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or
massive.
probably
Yeah,
still is.
that's a lump, isn't it?
Hell of a lump. It's amazing. I tell you what, the level of detail they've got into this kit without photo etch is amazing. I'm really impressed. It's going to be a challenge to paint and weather it without knocking all these little bits off, though.
How old's the actual kit? When was it first released? Do you know?
I think
Gary
it's-
Morris says, "Being ex-RAF, I've had it rough sometimes. The hotels didn't have swimming pools."
Very good. We like that one. Yes.
I can remember lying there in ditches, feeling things running across my chest, thinking, "I'm not opening my eyes. I'm not opening my eyes."
I should have joined the RAF.
It's not happening. It's not real.
how old this kit is. It's got to be quite modern kit, 10, 15 years at the most.
Have to scale mate it and tell us.
Who's Debbie? Because airliner modeler Debbie from Canada hasn't dropped by Flory Models. Who's Debbie? Apparently well-known model builder. I'll tell you what, I have to fess up now. I'll just be honest, because a lot of people say you must know. because I don't do social media, I miss a lot of this. And people say to me, "Oh, you need such and such." I haven't got a clue who they're on about. So we need to be filled in clearly at this point. So I don't know who Debbie, who's apparently airline modeler Debbie, whoever she is. But I say it's nothing personal. Because I don't do social media, I don't get to see a lot.
John will find
John will know. John's always over social media and everything. He's like our social media expert for these
I
things.
have no idea. Never heard of her.
It sounds really bad because people say, "Oh, I've got a YouTube channel and stuff," or like got a Facebook page and that, and I don't, because I don't do it. I'm literally like a mushroom. I come in here.
I need Debbie I know from America. Lives
Yeah,
down
right.
south.
Okay, Andy, we know the one you know from Dallas.
I wasn't going to say that.
Ed's asking, lacquer paint over Vallejo, any issues?
No.
As long as the paint underneath is fully dry.
I was going to say, as long as it's fully cured and you don't flood.
Yeah.
When I say flood, you do this thing, obviously, and it's happened because it's happened to me as well. You put down your acrylic coat underneath and you come in with lacquers really heavy and it's looking wet and sloppy. What can happen is the lacquers can reactivate your acrylic underneath and you get like fisheye effect where it sort of flops up like oil, and that can happen. And it'll work vice versa as well. If you've got lacquers underneath, it can do.
And that's exactly what that is. That's Vallejo paint with lacquer on top. Well, air fixed paint with lacquer thinners. But sorry, Tamiya paint with lacquer thinners.
Air fixed paint, well done.
Air fixed paint.
I've mixed sort of paint chemical mixes all along that, just sort of acrylic to lacquer to enamel. I've never had a problem with them reacting.
No.
It's just because it's dry. It's having the dry layer underneath, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. We've just had a copyrighty thing, or not like a copyright, but like we get these things that tick up on your screen sometimes, and it is because Andy's girl Debbie Does Dallas has been flagged.
That's why I didn't say where she was from.
Yeah, but Brett did. He's got us flagged now, so it's fine. What it does, it flags it as inappropriate content and then hides it, but you can show it because there we go, we show it. I don't care. I'm not monetized, so it don't bother me.
It says, and I woke up with a rat at the end of my sleeping bag in a field in Germany once. That's why I didn't open my eyes. I just kept them closed. What you can't see can't hurt you.
When one nibbling on your ear, you need to worry.
Yeah, I used to have a big hat, woolly hat that used to pull down every year, and I used to have it popping around my ears.
We've got a group of soldiers coming into work every day next week to do this rapid mass testing in Liverpool.
All right.
And the staff are getting quite excited that all these soldiers are rocking up, but I just can't imagine any of these fellas enlisted in the army to end up giving corona tests out in sort of inner city Liverpool. Bless them.
The staff are getting excited, but the teenage girls aren't.
Well, I don't know if back at the barracks, if they feel like they've drawn a short straw or not, because when year 11 get their teeth into them, they've got no chance.
At least I'll not be able to understand them, will they? So.
No, need translation. God, I don't know. It's funny. It is funny what the army ends up making some of their soldiers do.
Character building.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, that wasn't on the adverts when they joined up, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we're all ready for the quiz tonight then?
Yeah, 30 questions.
No, well, there we go. And one of them may be, when did IPMS start, or was it Airfix? So you might want to Google that one before we get going. You can have that as a special.
If you click on Wikipedia, you're all right for 10 of them. The rest of them are picture questions.
Hey, look, the whole point of this is to do the funniest answers anyway. We don't want the correct ones. We want the funniest.
Yeah.
Winnebago John says, question, wife wants to try modelling and wants to build a model of the old steam-powered tugboats. Any ideas?
Again, we like to be like with traction engines, isn't it? I think they're, you know, and only because I'm biased, because, you know, technically son-in-law's got one, but it's one of those things. I think they're beautiful kits would make, wouldn't it? And stuff like that, and classic tractors and a farm of machinery and stuff and that type of thing as well. But I don't think anybody makes them.
Didn't Revell do a tugboat?
I was thinking that, you know.
Revell's surely.
But it's whether it's
They
like
did an ocean-going rescue type recovery tug, wasn't it? A search and rescue type tug. I think that wasn't that one they did a couple of years ago when they're about the time of when they did the oil rig.
I don't know.
Because they did a trawler as well, didn't they? Do a fishing trawler?
Frog do a fishing trawler. Frog used to do one of them. I'm sure of it. And Novo re-released it when they had the molds. I'm sure there's a proper tugboat, you know, not a rescue one.
Revell did one, but
yeah, they did some really weird ships at one point, didn't they? Or boats and ships and stuff. I would Google Revell and just see if anything comes up regarding a tugboat.
Yeah, Les says old Revell.
Yeah.
because Revell do have a habit of having sort of unusual subjects once in a blue moon, didn't they?
They're really unusual, yeah. That mining tool thing, that big.
She means the puffin billies that are on the Thames.
See, Daryl's saying here, okay, I'm going to say something a bit kicker here. One of the things that I found is people like Phil on the internet and others that have got 20 plus years of experience probably frighten people off. Why frighten people off? I hope not. But
As in what? Doing the hobby?
maybe, I don't know. Perhaps it's becoming people into it. Like I've always said, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face, I am by no means even a good modeler. I'm good at what I do. And again, doing commission work is slightly different to what I do now. But I'm not the best by a long way. What I hope to do or try and do is teach people the niceties of the hobby and all the rest of it and bring people together. That's all I do. That's all I try and do anyway, is to basically promote the hobby and put it into a positive light and hopefully not make it as anarchy as it could be, you know, and hopefully promote it in a positive light that others might want to give it a go and join. And then, you know, all the free stuff. I know obviously we are a subscription site, and don't get me wrong, there's reasons why we're a subscription site, but all the basics of it are literally in the area here. Everything that we've always done in the tutorial section has always been free. So you've got all the ones, you know, and even the bite-sized ones that I've been doing recently, I do them as freebies. So we've got all the basics of modeling, all the step-by-steppy stuff to get you going is always free. The only thing I actually charge for, literally, is for the latest, obviously, payware videos for the full video builds, and the forum. All the rest of it, you know, like we've got down in here, all the ones for airbrushing, they're all free, and they're always straight away free as well. So, admittedly, we might need to go back and do some of these because they're getting a bit long in the tooth. But all the tutorials we've also done as free, and even the new bite-sized ones I've been doing over the last few months, they're always straight to free. We might not advertise them and put them all over the internet and stuff like that, but they're always on the site, free to watch, and anyone can go in there and see them. I've always done it that way. I've always felt quite strongly about if people just want to sit and watch, they don't want to pay and all the rest of it, they can get the basic information and do it that way.
Oh, Leslie's back.
2 minutes to Chippy.
Yeah, that's it. Is he getting things there saying it?
I'm getting Chippy as well.
Jumper.
So tonight we are kicking off at 7:30. So
Yes.
Grab yourself. Obviously, we're not doing demoing or anything else. We're going to clear the decks. We'll get the snacks in and a few beers or your favourite tipple, and just have a bit of a giggle for sort of, you know, a couple of hours. That's the plan.
That's the plan, in it, hour and a half or whatever we're doing it till.
And revive the US presidents. For the general knowledge quiz, there's a question on a US president.
So what category, before we finish, what categories is there then tonight, Nath? What you done? So
there's 10 questions on scale modelling.
Yeah.
There's 10 questions on like aircraft, but not just aircraft, like aircraft recognition type stuff. There's ships and boats and cars in it.
Yeah.
And then there's 10 general knowledge questions, but they're all like a picture.
Okay.
Like, who is this? And it's just like a picture. So people can't just whack stuff into Wikipedia and get all the answers.
That's good. That'll be fun.
And I think the Phil's idea of getting the most ridiculous answer to the questions could be quite good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want the funniest answers, not the correct ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
get revising your US presidents.
So basically, the way the quiz is going to work is, you can grab yourself a pen and all the rest of it, but we will do a quiz as we go right the way through, start to finish, and then I think we'll go back and do answers, and live, you guys can put your answers in. So we'll say question 1 was blah blah blah, and you can put your answers up, the funny ones and all the rest of it. Or if you just want to take part, you can just see how you got on with the quiz. We'll give the correct answer, and then obviously we can have all the funny ones in there amongst it as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a quickie. David says Phil's experience and skill is a joy to watch. He's the Bob Ross of modelling. Haircut.
No,
I didn't see that, John, but I didn't want to read it out.
To be honest, if I let this go, I would look like Bob Ross. I swear to God, I literally would.
Do it.
Years ago, when I had long hair, which is horrible to go back to, but I have to scrape it back into my ponytail, and if it got wet and that, it would sort of frizz at the back. You nightmare.
I think that's your next Halloween costume sorted out.
Oh God, that's why I keep my hair very short. It's about as long as it ever gets. Otherwise, it just takes over. You can't get me in camera. That's it. Luckily, I even cut my own hair. That's as bad as I am. Literally, every couple of weeks, I just shave it. And we're good to go.
I do think Phil needs to bring the mullet back.
Bring the mullet back. Yeah, that's it.
Mullet with a back perm.
Do you think Tams would let me have one of them? She'd be soon cutting that off in me sleep.
Hey, business round the front, party round the back.
David says happy sprues.
Yes, happy sprues. No, that's it. Say my biggest point is technically, like I always say with this entire thing, and it's always my killer line because I get sort of semi-professional this at people, and they do get a bit competitive. Don't get me wrong, and I literally just say, well, as long as you're having fun, literally.
I'm gonna have
the
to
whole
shoot,
point.
boys, because Leslie's going, and I've got to look after Lydia, so I'm gonna have to go. So I will see you.
No, that's it. We are going to go now. So literally. Thank you very much for joining us for this little bit of stint. Hopefully you picked up a few things. We will be back with you at 7:30. So if you would love to come and see us, that would be absolutely fantastic. And
see you later.
See you later, guys. Everybody say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Right, I'll see you lot in a bit. I'm off.
Hold on. That's it. Go.